Welcome to the December 8th Board of Selectmen's meeting. We'll start by pledge of allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the board is just coming out of a brief non-public and paperwork session. First up on this evening's agenda will be review and approval of consent. In tonight's folder, we have accounts payable for December 2nd, $1,127,203.47. For December 9th, okay. I think it's $1,839,303.89. I think too many ones.
Too many.
Too many ones.
Too many ones?
It's not 1 billion, thank you.
Yeah, it's not 1 billion.
No, it's definitely not.
Payroll manifest for December 4th is $116,112.89. For December 11th, $72,818.20. We have the tax collector reconciliation for November of 2025, the treasurer reconciliation for October of 2025. We have the contract with Pyrotechnic Fireworks, Inc., which is the Christmas in Litchfield event happening this weekend. And we have the purchase and sale for 20 Lock Mill Drive. Just as before we take a vote, as a side note, the board had taken a poll last week to agree with this contract for the fireworks. Obviously, we didn't have an official meeting till today. We did approve it, essentially approved it on Thursday, I believe it was. Wednesday we approved it. Tonight's just our official note that we did do that. And that is the permit to allow them to do the fireworks for the Spirit of Litchfield. So anybody was questioning that. Anybody want anything removed from the consent? Then I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, motion made by Mr. Gannon, seconded by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next is request of other items and other business. We do have a few things we need to add to the agenda for this evening. You can stick with me for a few minutes. We'll add these following items. I'd like to make a motion that we add the January to June 2026 schedule of transfer due to Litchfield School District. Second item would be the 2025 municipal assessment and sales information. This is after the verification of the assessors. Need to add that to the topics. And then we have 8 land use taxes. So we'll cover them as 3 separate topics if I can get a second to add them to the agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion made by myself, seconded by Ms. Blansky. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 5-0-0. So this will show up on the agenda towards the end of the meeting. And then, what else? Any other items to be added to the agenda for this evening?
No, but I'm going to add one next time for the metal detecting policy, just to maybe take a look at that again.
Okay. All right. All right, first public input will be at no earlier than 6:45. We'll move into our standard business review. I will make a note, as I said earlier, we just came out of a non-public. We took action on 2 items that we want to do here in public. First, I'd like to make a motion, what did I do on my notes here, Stephen? Oh, there we go. I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the transfer of 2 days of PTO time into the sick bank for 6 days for Chief Jones.
So moved.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Mr. Gannon. Further, any discussion? No? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 5-0-0. Second motion I'd like to make is that we authorize the authorize the move of 76 days of unused vacation time.
Hours.
Sorry, 76
Good
hours.
try.
76, that's what happens when the first one has days, the next one has hours, so 76 hours from the 2025 PTO available to Ms. Kleiner to be carried on into 2026 and to be used in 2026 and not be extended any further.
With a special note to Ms. Kleiner to please use our vacation time.
Yes.
Going forward. Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded by Mr. Gannon. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. So that's the cleanup from the non-public. Moving into the agenda for this evening. First up is the approval of the minutes from November 24th. We had an opportunity to take a look. Any adjustments or changes?
Always look at me. He's smiling too, right? Always in the meeting. Page 13. I think he just has to move a couple things. Page 13, when we were doing our selectmen reports. So look at, I guess, go to 14 first, item C, which is the PFAS committee. That, there you go, all there. That just has to move 2 paragraphs down. Where I updated the PFAS report for distribution.
Okay.
So move item C, that title, down 2 more paragraphs. Because the first 2 paragraphs belong up in NRPC. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I will have him change, where he did have the first paragraph, local parcels affected by PFAS studies, he can remove that. He can just say local parcels affected by the MS4 compliance costs. So just remove by PFAS studies and noted that. It should just be, I briefly discussed local parcels affected by, discuss local parcels affected by the MS4 compliance costs.
Okay.
He just stuck another PFAS word in there that didn't belong there, so, and that's all I have.
Any other adjustments or? So do I have a motion to accept as amended by Ms. Queenan?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Leary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained? Motion carries 401. Okay, next will be the the minutes from, the approval of the minutes from December 3rd. Have we had an opportunity to read? If so, any adjustments or corrections? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Gannon, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 401. I abstain. All right. All right, Ms. Kleiner, we have presentations from New Hampshire DOT.
Yes.
Gentlemen, have a seat at the table. Just for the record, we have, obviously, this is being recorded. If you could just state your name and who you're representing, that would be great.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name's Bill Oldenburg, work with the Department of Transportation, and with me is Eric Sargent. He's the right-of-way administrator at the department. We're here to talk about formally dissolving the circumferential highway layout. And to understand what that really means, I wanted to talk a little bit about the history, because the circumferential highway has been around, believe it or not, for over 75 years. And so just wanted to go through a sort of a brief history and what dissolving the highway layout actually means. So the second page of the slide is just an overview of the actual project itself, just to familiarize yourself with it. In the northern part, the blue line, there's what the proposal was a new exit 9 in Merrimack off the F. Everett Turnpike. Goes down across the river, second river crossing into Litchfield, crosses 3A, 102, and 111 in Hudson. That is really about where it was split into 2 sections, the north section and the south section. So that's the north section, then from 111 goes around Hudson to 3A and ties into exit 2, the existing exit 2. So that's for background, that's where the project was. As I said, it started discussions in the 50s and 60s. Work actually began in earnest on a design in the 80s. We had official public hearings. We actually had two in 88 and in 93. And a report of the commissioner and a finding of necessity was done. So stop and talk a little bit about what that means. So when we have a public hearing, it's a little bit different than like a town or a planning board or whatever has a public hearing. A public hearing to us is a legal, it has a backing in statute and in law. When we have a public hearing, it's oversaw by a highway commission. In this case, because it was an interstate and we were doing access, it was a special committee, which is 3 executive counselors. And what they do is they oversee the process, they oversee the plan, the project, interact with the folks at the public hearing. And then what we do is we develop a report of the commissioner, which is everybody that asks questions, has comments, can you look at this, can you do this, can you help us out with this? We put that in a report. And basically, how did we answer all the questions that came up at the public hearing? And that's approved, and it's sort of our commitment, or the commitment we make to the people that are impacted on the project. Then what we do is we bring the special committee back, the executive counselors. We review the plan, we review what we heard at the public hearing, we review the report of the commissioner, and they formally find the necessity of the project. So this project is necessary for the public. And why that's sort of important is, and why it's all in statute, is that gives us the right to acquire property and use eminent domain. Probably the thing that you never want to hear is taking somebody's property by eminent domain. And it's a very long legal steps that we have to do to be able to acquire that right. And that's what it is when we say, you know, we do this report, we have this meeting, we have a finding of necessity. It sort of sets it into, you know, a legal formal requirement. And that in itself creates the highway layout. So that basically means that it gives us the authority to design a road, take people's properties, acquire people's properties, and, you know, to build that road because it's in the public good. Now, we did do that. That was all approved. And that, like I said, that formally and legally approved the highway layout. We did develop a final environmental impact study that year, in October of '93. In November of 1994, the Environmental Protection Agency issued an intent to veto the project. They were not going to give us a permit to build the project. Their main concerns, the 2 biggest ones, were in the southern segment, the number of prime wetlands that we were impacting, and the road itself was cutting off wildlife corridors that wanted to get from the east side of Hudson, that area, into the Merrimack River Valley. So that was their main concern. They said, we're never gonna give you a permit for that.
Because you know wildlife never crosses the road.
No, no. So this actually got elevated to the governor. The governor's office met with the EPA, and they both agreed and came to an agreement that the full circumferential highway would not be pursued. So really, that sort of put the nail in the coffin for it, you know, back in '94. But they left the door open that the northern segment could be investigated. So we did investigate the northern part, which is from exit 9 through Litchfield down to 111. We did have several meetings, stakeholders meetings with the resource agencies and everything. We did one of the requirements was we'd have to update and develop a supplemental EIS, which we did. And we developed the draft of that environmental impact statement. We sent it out to the stakeholders meeting in August of '04. And no action was ever taken. Nobody said, yeah, this is great, go for it. So we never, reheld public hearings. We never finalized that supplemental EIS. So basically, the northern segment had sort of withered and went away. In 2007, we had a meeting with Merrimack, Litchfield, Hudson, Nashua, public meeting, and there was majority agreement was the circumferential highway as planned would never be built. But they left the door open for a local road. They said, well, maybe there's a need for a local road, not an interstate style road. So based on that meeting, the next year in 2008, the project was officially removed from the state's 10-year plan, which meant there was no funding, there was no project. In recent years,
Yeah, I do, and I know you, I don't want to mess up your presentation, but, and maybe it's because it's partially done, but I sit on the NRPC committee, so there's Michael Proto back there, and we have a state rep with us, and DOT's in the room, and Federal Highway. It was always on our reports up until like a year ago. Was it dead but not officially dead, is what I heard?
well,
Because the reason I ask is our economic plan was back in 2002, right? Well, this was being declared dead. But somehow whatever happened in 2002, they kept going, because this is a major piece of our economic
Yeah.
development, so.
so it stayed in the 10-year plan as a project
Yeah,
until 2008 when it was removed.
but why were we still seeing it as a project line?
Because later, I don't know the years exactly, but the town of Hudson received a grant to study doing a local road through the southern segment. They never acted on it. And so we kept the name Circumferential Highway sort of in the books
Okay.
as because that's where the local road was going. It was a placeholder.
Okay,
And in the last 10-year plan, so that grant actually expired. They never did anything with it. And then the last 10-year plan, the town of Hudson asked if we would put in $1 million of money to study this local road section through the southern section. We agreed, but it was under the stipulation that they had to match. It was in 80-20, and they had to match the 20%. They went to town meeting, and the local folks didn't support it. So they asked us to remove the project from the 10-year plan. So you probably saw it in not the 10-year plan that we're working on now, but the previous one.
up until like 2 years
Yeah.
ago, right?
Yes.
You were there too, right? So everybody kept thinking it was coming, and so did our town, so we were making our whole economic decisions around that.
Yeah.
And apparently, messages must have been missed in
Well,
2002.
and so the problem with that is the northern section hasn't been looked at since 2004. So, sort of on page 5, sort of went over what the project is. We did build the very southern section from exit 2 across the river into Hudson. The section from the bridge to 3A they're actually the ramps, or the on and off ramps for the interchange, sort of why it looks sort of hokey down there. But we have to do work again from the river to actually build it, and actually the plan's called for a toll plaza right there.
Fabulous.
And so on page 6, we did, prior to stopping work, we did acquire property. We had a number of folks after the first public hearing that said, I don't want a highway near me. Please take my property. I don't want to live there. So we did acquire what we call proximity acquisitions, people that asked to be acquired that weren't directly impacted. And we did acquire a fair portion of the right-of-way for the circumferential, especially the southern segment. Not so much the northern segment, but the southern segment. We acquired 59 parcels, 19 of which are improved. By improved, they have homes or residences on them, buildings. I think all 19 are rented out. So DOT has been a landlord and property manager, not our specialty and not in our wheelhouse, but we do it out of necessity for the last probably 30 years. We've owned these properties. Total tax assessed values in the $18 million range. In Litchfield itself, we own 16 parcels. 3 of them have homes on them that we do have tenants in. Tax assessed value of all the properties is in the $3 million range. If you equalize it, it's about $4.5 million. And in the very back, on page 11, 12, and 13, there's a list of the properties, tax map, lot, address. There's an asterisk of which ones have homes on them as tenants. And then there's property maps. Very old, sorry, some of them are a little blurry. But some of these maps predate the computer, so. So that's sort of the history, that's where we are. So what does this dissolving the highway layout mean? It basically officially ends the project, and it removes all those commitments and really a butter concern. So is this project ever gonna happen? Could it come back? It takes that cloud off of everyone. And in reality, we could never build it as it was designed today. And legal-wise, I don't think that the hearing that we had 30 years ago would hold up today. We'd have to go through we'd have to redo the design, we'd have to go through another public hearing, report of the commissioner, finding necessity. So really, dissolving the layout is a formality at this point, because we could never have used that past hearing to design the road. And then ultimately, it will also give us the ability to dispose of any of the properties that we've acquired. So to finish and dissolve this, basically what we need to do is we're meeting with the town officials. So congratulations, you're first on the list. We're meeting next month with Merrimack and Hudson. We're going to plan on holding a public informational meeting, so any public folks can come and basically hear the same presentation and offer comments or concerns. That'll probably be in Hudson, but we haven't determined when. We're hoping next month we meet with the Hudson and Merrimack, may try to set it up in February. And then what we do is we submit a governor and council resolution. Since the special committee is executive counselors, they created the layout. We need to inform them that we're actually dissolving what they created. So that's all we really have to do. And we would anticipate doing that soon after the public informational meeting in February, unless something comes up that would stop us from doing that. So that's really the crux of what we want to talk about, is just our intent to dissolve the layout of the highway. But sort of mentioned the idea of disposing of the property. Like I said, we're not, we design and build bridges and roads and everything else, and being landlords, it isn't something that we do out of it's more out of necessity than it is what we do as a business. So we do want to dispose of the properties and get them back into private hands. We do pay taxes on the homes that we own, those that we rent out, but all the vacant land is not on the tax roll. It has an assessed value, but we don't pay tax on it. So putting that back into private hands also adds to the tax base.
I have a question about the homes. The people that have been renting them all those years, are you gonna give them some kind of buy to own deal?
Yep, so we'll get to that. It's
Oh,
like
sorry.
the second bullet
I'm so
down.
sorry.
So,
I was
so-
gonna worry about the people first.
Yeah, so, what we do to dispose of the properties is we complete what we call either a market analysis, which is have realtors say how much the value is worth, or we do appraisals of what the value of the property is. And then, because this is considered a state asset, we have a legislative committee called Long Range. It's actually Long Range Capital
Planning
Planning and Utilization Committee. We just call it Long Range. We have to get approval to sell or dispose of a state asset. So we go and we present to them the parcels, the value, and they say, yep, go ahead. Once we get that approval, we would first offer the town the right of first refusal. That market analysis and appraisal would develop what we consider a fair market value of the property. And that's what the payment would be if you're interested in one, two, or more of the properties. If you say, nope, not interested, we then by statute have to offer it to New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority. If they say, nope, we're not interested, the current tenants are then given, if they're interested and they qualify, they'd be given the right to purchase the homes. The vacant land, it's either the town or FHA. If everybody says no, we would then market the properties for sale. If somebody says, yep, we'll buy it, we go through governor council approval of the sale, and then we would close on the properties.
Concerned that the EPA said that they didn't want them built, but we're talking about selling them again. We would be protected.
So once we sell the properties, the local planning and zoning ordinances, your local
Kicks in.
requirements kick in. So there's no, wetlands impacts and all that. You'd have to go through your planning board, zoning, conservation commission to get approval if they impacted wetlands or whatever. So that all falls back down to the town regulations. So the EPA, that wouldn't be a concern. If someone wanted to build a road through the wetlands, they'd have to get DES approval and wetlands permit and all of that. So it would be at that level, but so the EPA wouldn't get involved because the local housing projects are just too small. It would be the DES that would do that. And that's really all we had to say. My contact and Eric's contact information is on here, and like I said, there's a list of properties on the back with the maps. So,
What kind of time frame are we looking at? Like when, it's taken 45 years, 50 years to get to this point. How quickly does stuff dissolve?
So dissolving the layout, like I said, we're going to meet with the other two towns, have a public meeting, we hope, in February. And then it's actually an informational notice to governor and council. There's no action that they need to take. We could do that in March.
Really?
So that would do away with the highway layout.
Right.
Now, if you're interested in the properties, and I understand that you would, if you're interested in purchasing any of them, there's town meetings and there's warrant articles and everything else you have to. We are absolutely open to working with you on you being able to do that. So all we would ask is, you have a list of the properties. If you're interested in some, just let us know, and I can coordinate with Kim, and if you're interested in some, we can prioritize those so that we don't miss warrant article time. All right, and things like
That obviously would be the concern is that you have a good deal. How quickly can you act on purchasing the properties, or how quickly can we act on purchasing.
I do want to add that we've been preparing the letters. Those letters to the municipalities will actually be coming out soon with a list of the properties
Okay.
to ask, to see if the municipalities have interest in those.
I think the unfortunate part for our timing is our next opportunity would be March of 2026.
Yes.
So,
And we're fine with that.
yeah, it sounds like if we were interested, we could let you know, and
Yep.
we can kind of come up with agreement, I guess.
March 2027.
Sorry, 2027, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Yes,
Because-
2026 next year.
I mean, really, when we do the market analysis, all the properties, we have 59 properties, 19 of them with homes on them. We're not going to do that overnight. As
It's
you know,
gonna take time.
like I said, we're not property managers, and Eric's group do appraisals and all of this on properties that we are, need to acquire for our current projects. You know, doing this for surplus properties is sort of a lower on the priority, so we have,
It could be years.
It's a necessary evil that we have to do to, yeah.
Okay. It's good to know, though.
Any other questions for these gentlemen? No? Thank you very much for your time and
We open it to the
update.
public? If the public has any questions?
We are gonna go to non-public, public input anyway in a second, so. If there is anybody in the public that has a question, you can feel free to ask. State your name, Ron.
Some of the properties are commercial or
Yes.
non-residential.
Right.
How is that disposed of or considered?
It's our
Is
zoning
that on
laws,
an
right?
individual basis or?
it would be whatever the zoning is for that
Yeah.
property. So it would, basically, if we dissolve the right of way, it just, and we
Falls back into the
dispose of
town.
it falls back to
Goes to planning, goes to
Local.
conservation,
Local.
goes to,
So if someone purchased a commercial plot, for example, they'd have to come back and meet all the commercial requirements to build or develop it. Go ahead, Kim.
so you selling it doesn't guarantee that they can
Sorry.
build whatever they want on it.
Right,
It
they
has
have
to
to do
go
their
through
due
our
diligence,
planning.
and they would, I suspect they would have to, you'd have to go to the planning board or the zoning, and whatever they want to do, it has to meet your requirement.
Okay, so just like a regular sale.
Flannery, yes?
I'm just wondering if Mr. Oblinus's question wasn't, how does that affect the town? I mean, and why would the town look at that? So there are municipalities that look at cases like this and they may purchase the commercial land and then go out and have bids placed upon it and search. So you can remember the Economic Development Committee did a huge survey, so we know what the residents want. And perhaps you look and you market to those type of businesses. But that is something the town could do if the town was interested. Other than that, it would just be, private businesses that would buy the property from the DOT.
So, the town has the first right to buy the property, then New Hampshire Housing and Finance Authority has a second right, right? So, they can buy the land and put in a large housing, facility there if the town does not buy it, so.
Except it's regulated commercial.
Well, apartment.
Apartment complexes are commercial.
Oh,
They are commercial.
okay, I thought they had to be mixed use.
No.
That's what's gonna happen.
All right, Jason?
Could you talk a little bit about the appraisal process? Are you doing any survey of wetlands? Are you looking at your existing wetland mapping to come up with appraised value? Are you going in deep or are you just doing a desktop type of exercise?
We'll go through the normal appraisal practices, to looking for comparative sales, and comps to come up with the values, looking at zoning regulations.
Will you you'll be looking at them individually? We had, 20 lots up there.
Yes, well, so one option is to do the comparable market analysis, which is done by real estate professionals. We have contract with a number of firms that we enlist to help us dispose of the properties, to market the properties. So it's a bit of a quicker process to do it that way, so we can get these properties back out. So It has not been determined if we're going with just appraisals or market analysis, but we're thinking we may be going to the market analysis again to get them listed quicker, to get them back on the tax base as fast as we can.
But one of the things that they would do is they would look at the parcel and say, well, this one's 75% wet, so what's
Yes.
the buildable
Yeah.
size, what's the buildable envelope, and how much is that worth?
Yeah.
So they would take, like,
I was
wetlands and
curious if
anything
they
like
went
that.
down that deep.
Yeah.
And it sounded to me like, follow-up, it sounded to me like if the town were interested in specific properties, that they may go toward the top of the list as part of the appraisal.
Well,
Or,
what we want to do is we want to make sure that if you're interested in a parcel, we don't miss your deadlines for,
okay.
warrant articles and things like that. We don't want to be the ones that hold it up. So that would be my thought, is we would prioritize the ones that we need to make sure you have information by this date, so you can take action.
Any other questions from the public?
One last one, Ken. The contact information, can individuals contact you directly to arrange some discussions?
Why don't you go for Kim? Sorry.
Sorry.
Like, what we don't want to do is have a bunch of town residents reaching out to New Hampshire DOT and,
It's not on behalf of the town.
So
Okay.
right now, we've contacted the tenants that are living in the resident, the homes that we own that they're leasing, to notify them of what we're doing. So, been working with them. And that's another reason why we want to get here in front of the town is to not have to displace any of the people,
Yeah,
giving them the
there
option.
should be a
to- so-
priority.
And we're trying to get everything done as, expeditiously as we can, because they need to make plans themselves. I've received a number of calls from the tenants saying that they do want to purchase the properties from us, so that's great news. So we're going through these steps, to get to that answer for them as well, as quick as possible.
That would be scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Oh, Kim has a comment.
go ahead, Ken.
And it may be different in different areas, right? So we've heard a lot about the property in the southern, on Charles Bancroft Highway, right? It may be a different story for the properties that are on Dairy Road, and perhaps we might want to have a conversation with Hudson, since those two areas, some of those properties are considerably close to Auburn High School. So, maybe we want to have some time to have some conversation with our neighbors to see what they're doing with some of their properties and what makes sense and what gets supported, and just to build that good relationship.
Agreed. All right, anything else from the board?
I'll just say, the Economic Development Committee did approve the report. I'm not sure, it was posted, I don't think it's in here, though. But one of the things that was recommended was it to come to the Board of Selectmen anyway, to come up with a strategy about this land anyway, so, and we reached out to you because of this development happening. So that was gonna be on plate anyway, for the competing needs of that area.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the history.
You know your stuff. I didn't see you look down once.
Keeping in on the public input side, we'll continue public input. If there's any members of the public that would like to step forward and comment on tonight's topics, future topics, or just any generalized info, come on forward. Name and address, please.
Corey Flint, 123 Hillcrest. As I understand it, you guys talked about the sign ordinance on Albuquerque, so I have a few questions about that and maybe a comment. You talked about that last session. It sounds like you're going to allow town department signs on the road and not any others without permission from the board. Is that correct?
So I would strongly suggest that this is a conversation to be had at the planning
It's a planning. board.
because it's a zoning ordinance, and zoning ordinances go through the planning board.
Okay, I'll talk to the planning board, and just a comment. If that is the case, then I'm going to put forth a citizens warrant article to just eliminate section 1504, paragraph A, and allow all signs on Albuquerque. I don't particularly want to come and ask permission to put up parade signs or free item signs or whatever else I want to put out in my yard to you guys if I don't have to, so.
If I remember correctly, the ordinance, it's just on town property and town right-of-ways, right? I mean,
Yeah,
his
well,
If he puts a sign up in his property,
There's a 75-foot right-of-way off of Albuquerque,
Still,
so I have to put my signs back in my trees, instead
put
of,
your skeletons back in the trees too.
exactly.
Can't have that.
Put it back in the woods
Absolutely
where they came
cannot
from.
have that.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think the concern was signs being along the bike path
That's correct.
and all the way down, and, you know, that was at least the conversation I heard. If you need any help, I can give you the instructions on a petition warrant article, but I would strongly advise you go speak to the planning board. The 16th is their public hearing, and I think that this is a good conversation. I totally understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
Okay.
totally.
Well, just giving you a heads up, and then I will be there at that meeting, so, thank you.
I have a question on that.
Yeah,
So it was before my time, but was there a reason when they built the road that there was no signs? Was that a law?
No
that went into
signs, no
effect?
houses.
Yeah, there was no driveways on the main road, right?
Yep, no signs, no houses,
So
no
I don't know if that
driveways.
was something that was approved, I don't know the mechanism of why it happened, or,
Well,
But we've broken our own, because Kimball High School has a sign on
I know.
Albuquerque, and we have a town hall sign on Albuquerque,
Yeah,
so
and
we've broken our own.
And the school board puts out, or the school puts out graduation signs every,
Well, that's what
That's
started
a
it.
permitted-
That's actually what started it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's part of it. Start of it was Litchfield, Christmas in Litchfield in the parade,
That's true, that's true.
grew feet.
I just don't want, come up with it, that's great, but I'm just saying, I don't know if there's a law that, or the sign off at the planning board, I don't know.
Well, as far-
How it was approved, that road.
as far as I can see, this is the only, or in my searching, this is the only,
It's the, it's very blank,
Only
it's
rule.
nothing, it
Yeah.
says no signs, right?
Right.
So-
and in order to be fair to everybody, I'm just gonna ask to delete paragraph A, section 1504, and that way, when nobody has to ask permission to put up a sign.
As long as you're not putting up a
So-
new drive-in.
The argument I would say to that is then how do we control what signs go up?
Should you control what signs go up?
Yes, if
Why?
not, we're gonna have, hey, I'll roof your house for 50% off, hey, I can get.
You would have that on 3A or on Whidden or on Brenton. Why should Albuquerque
My
not
understand-
have the
That's
same
my
freedom?
understanding of why it got to this point, is to prevent or allow the town to remove signs, because we have an ordinance in place that says you can't just start nailing signs to every telephone pole on
But
Albuquerque.
can you limit the signs out there? I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
have
think-
a freedom,
I thought we said something
you have a
along the lines
freedom of
about town
speech, right?
use.
There is a sign ordinance, there is signs that are forbidden in other sections of the zoning, so you can.
Permanent, non-permanent, or temporary?
Correct, and like
Temporary
you can have
signs.
it in front of your house if it's a contractor that's working up presently on your house, but you can't, it's strange, you
Right.
have to look at them all, but.
Well, the signs I'm talking about are the non-permanent temporary signs that are allowed all throughout town. And, as far as I understand, there, any sign, whether it be roof your house for $50 or Steve Gannon for Selectmen or free to come take my tires. Right?
Yes,
Definitely.
I mean, I think there's gonna be conversation about, do residents really wanna walk up and
That's-
down the bike path and have signs on both sides of them all the
Well,
way?
why don't we ask the residents on a warrant article?
That's what I think you said. So at the planning board, like I said, they're developing that warrant article to change the language.
Okay.
Do the clarity. You can easily, during that public hearing, talk to them about changing the wording altogether.
Yeah, from what I heard last session, is that you were gonna allow town, or the planning board suggested that we allow town-related signs from the rec committee or conservation commission or whatever.
Town
But
entities, yeah.
for the town, but what about me? If I want to put out parade signs, what do I have to do? I have to come before you guys and ask permission? I don't think that is fair. If I want to put out a car show
The way
sign,
it's worded, yes, you would have to ask.
yeah, so I don't think that that's fair. So,
Thanks, Corey.
you're welcome. Thank you.
See you at the planning board.
That's right, you will.
Anybody else like to approach?
Sorry.
Wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't come with them.
So, Mr. Blinis, before you start,
Yes, sir.
I know you shared what you were going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
I would just temper you and say that the topic is specifically related to the school board. It is not in the preview of this board to make any adjustments to their budget, their requests. So just understand that I'm happy to have you share your findings and your thoughts, but we really can't, we don't have any action.
I understand. And my comment is one of asking the board to have the CIP extend their review of the CIP. And the reason being is if you remember, Kim, you remember, the hearing that you had on the CIP was November 18th, I think it was. And unfortunately, that was the same night that the forum was scheduled. And I actually asked both individuals to reschedule one because I wanted to attend both. So essentially, my comments relate to things in the budget, the CIP related to the school. There was, I'm trying to be succinct, they had, first of all, for those that, these are the on-site insight report that the school did, and they quoted using this information to create the CIP. But I find that it doesn't match the timing of what's actually in the recommendations of the CIP to what's in the CIP. As a, for instance, there is a total of about $2 million of maintenance identified for CHS and LMS over the 6 years. If, look at that sheet, which I summarized, the totals for those 6 years from reports are 5.9 million. My question is, if they're using that as a basis, where's the 3.9 million go? Is it gonna show up next year as kind of, oh, I forgot? So my request is for you to not accept the CIP and finalize it this evening, but open it back up to comment so I can actually go to the CIP and raise these questions there. I'm not looking for you to make any discussions. I just like the opportunity to raise the things that I just kind of highlighted. And I can show you some more detail, but that's why I sent you the spreadsheet, so you can see that.
Mr. Croto is here, so I guess we could ask him.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Croto is here and will be presenting tonight, so we could ask him
Yeah.
what the ramifications of that would be.
Well, I appreciate that. The only, and like I said, I apologize for coming here, but I would have brought this up at the 18th if it hadn't been a conflict. And Mr. Croto has done a fine job, but it really is a school board that has to answer the question. And I'm not, I don't expect an answer. I'm just raising that I have a question I think is legitimate, and before it's finalized, I'd like to have that answered. That's all.
Thank you.
So again, I don't know, it's on the, we're collecting impact fees for these, but I'm not sure if they're paying for some of this out of their budget either. So again, I don't know how they plan to pay for the $5 million.
I'm actually confused as to why maintenance is in the CIP when impact fees are for new capital
No,
projects.
yeah, that's a good question.
So, because what you're identifying are maintenance items that are just, they have equipment they haven't maintained, they gotta either replace all that. It's definitely, some factor of it could be potentially covered by CIP fees?
Well, not really, because that's the title, capital needs assessment.
Yeah.
So these are considered capital improvements.
But we have to look at how impact fees are
The
being
funded
collected and what they're collected
funding.
for.
Well, remember, if I can interject, it doesn't include just things that are paid by impact fees. It is things that we fund, like, for instance, the proposal for the GMS school is included in the CIP, and that doesn't have any impact fees associated with it. So it's not just impact
Well, that's not
fees.
true. They're collecting impact fees for GMS, and they're using it for engineering studies and stuff like that. So they are definitely
Yeah, but certainly,
fees, but it's small amounts.
right, hardly significant. But anyway, so my request is simply to not accept it and just allow some additional public information that I can ask the school board to come and respond to.
Okay. Any other public input?
Thank you, Ron.
Nobody else? All right. Well, thank you for everybody who stepped forward. I'm going to close public input at 7:20. There will be a second opportunity towards the end of the meeting, whenever we get through it all. Next up is the 2026-2031 capital improvement plan. Mr. Croto.
Nice segue.
Yeah, good segue right into it.
Sorry.
Kim, they had public input hearing already on the plan, right? So what's our?
Yeah.
At the planning board?
What's our task here?
So it's generally accepted by the Board of
Accepted, it's
Selectmen
voted.
as the report. Again, I mean, that does not trigger a warrant article, that doesn't trigger anything except the fact that you are aware of the needs of the town as the CIP committee has presented.
Welcome, Michael.
Hey, Michael. hold
Good
on.
evening, everybody.
I'm assuming you may have a response to the request.
Well, I certainly appreciate Mr. Oblinus's comments. Keep in mind, too, that one of the purposes of putting this forth tonight was because we had to provide information in a timely manner to budget of what the plan was going to be. Another thing as well, we are an advisory board. We have put together a plan this evening. So once that we present tonight, it's really goes to the hands of the Board of Selectmen. So the Board of Selectmen can certainly have a conversation regarding what they want to do regarding any school issues. And obviously, I know the school also has their Facilities Improvement Committee as well, so I don't know how that would play into this. But I'm certainly going to present tonight what we have provided to you folks for this evening as an advisory board. We have a subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen. So again, if there's any issues after tonight's presentation, I think go to the Board of Selectmen, and I think you guys can decide what you want to do. So that's my comment. So.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay. Well, good evening. My name is Michael Croto. I am the chair of the planning board for the town of Litchfield. Heard a lot about the planning board this evening. So we're going to talk about the capital improvement plan. So what is the capital improvement plan? Well, the capital improvement program, or the CIP, was a plan that was adopted through warrant article. It was a plan that outlines a schedule of proposed capital investments in land, buildings, and equipment over a period of at least 6 years. And we're looking right now at a 6-year projection. They are classified by need, urgency, and timing. So as the CIP, we are tasked with putting a need or an urgency or a timing on a specific capital improvement, whether it's a project or whether it's any sort of infrastructure or building or whatever. The projects included in the CIP are based on information provided by the town department heads. So department heads get these forms that they have to basically fill out and provide to the capital improvement committee when they come forward asking for their needs. So there's basically, it's also could be boards. We have the Recreation Commission come for us, the Conservation Commission. It can be a committee, a commission. And they have to provide, what is the cost? What is the need? What is the source of the funding that's going to be used? Whether it's going to come from, capital improvements, whether it's going to come from grants, whether it's going to come from something. So they have to provide that information. The CIP assists the Board of Selectmen, it assists the Budget Committee, the voters, the legislative body, in their consideration of the annual budget by placing large capital investments into the context of a larger plan. So and that it goes out, for a period of 6 years at least. Litchfield is required to adopt the CIP under state law, under state statute, to continue to assess impact fees. That's the purpose of the CIP. If we didn't have a CIP, we couldn't assess impact fees. And that was the whole purpose of why the town adopted the article, I believe it was back in 2014 or 15, I can't remember specifically. But, originally this is a planning board exercise, but the town said, well, the governing body is going to decide how to implement this. And so the governing body created a committee to look at these capital improvement projects and determine whether they're viable. Impact fees allow the town to offset costs of new buildings, equipment purchases, and other capital investments to accommodate new residential development, costs that would otherwise be borne by the taxpayer. This document was, the CIP plan was adopted to ensure that it remain a viable, living, breathing document. So every 6 years, there has to be an assess of what remains on, things have to remain on the capital plan in order to be considered for impact fees. That's basically, it was basically relevant as a planning and a budgetary tool to do that. The vision statement was created by the Capital Improvement Plan Committee when it first was adopted. And basically, the vision statement is intended to be a blueprint. It's a blueprint for the next 6 years. We're going through the year right now, 2031, for the future growth of the town and its resources. So we're prioritizing strategic and short and long-term economic development goals, cost impacts, as well as offsetting revenues in the scope for CIP review. So the aspect of our town's future considered by the CIP consists of, heritage preservation and community character, land use and growth management, preservation of natural resources, economic development, as we heard tonight, community services and facilities, infrastructure needs, replacement and continuing maintenance of town assets. So the aim is to put forth a recommended list of capital needs across the town and the school district that protects the town's investments as well as limiting the tax impact in a controlled environment. The CIP the purpose of the CIP is to be transparent to the Litchfield residents, to welcome feedback, welcome comment, to seek, and seeks the Board of Selectmen, the school board, and the Budget Committee's approval of recommended warrant articles in March of 2026 that can be actioned on in a phased and fiscally responsible manner. You'll see the committee members listed above. Myself for the planning board, Peter Plansky is the vice chair, school board representative. He's a voting member as well. Kimberly Queenan is the Board of Selectmen's rep. Pete Stone, our citizens rep, is a voting member. Michael Parker is another citizens rep. Brian Bork represents the budget committee. He is non-voting. Kim Kleiner, the town administrator, is non-voting. Jay Mankara of NRPC is non-voting. And we have Brian O'Connell and the business administrator for the Litchfield School District who are non-voting members. So the CIP statutory authority comes from RSA 674:5 and 6. As I said, I was right, 2014 town warrant article delegated that authority to the Board of Selectmen, which was something that actually would have been the authority of the planning board if it had not gone delegated as such. It was formed at the discretion of the select board, you folks, capital improvement planning committee was created to develop well, we call it a master plan of key projects, but it's really a list of projects spanning both the town and the school for that 6-year period, and looking at the 6-year period over that time period. All the anticipated expenses for various departments that are generally, the amount that was always, as it continues to be so, is anything above $50,000, $50,000 or more. This document is, and it's always important to emphasize this, and I always emphasize this every year, this is simply a planning document. It's all items within the plan would have to be voted on by the respective boards, whether it's you folks, the budget committee would review it, and the legislative body, which is the voters of the town, each year. So, this does not accurately reflect a tax impact or actual funded projects at this stage, but it is an opportunity for the board to review it and determine what they want to put towards warrant articles, and so forth. And typically, the goal, obviously, is impact fees. So, you see the meeting summary for 2025. We met in January of 2025, and we're here tonight for the presentation here on the 8th of December. So we had a number of meetings throughout the year, discussions. We had the folks coming from the police, fire, the road agent, had many discussions, the Recreation Commission, Conservation, etc. So we'll start with the school district. Obviously, so once the CIP reviews the proposals that come before it from the various department heads, the committees, or commissions, boards, whatever, there has to be a ranking that's done, and that ranking is in priority of whether it is urgent, necessary, deferred. So the CIP is tasked with voting on what are the things that are important. And we look at the town side, we look at the school side. For the school district, first off, Griffin Memorial School has and remains, I think, in urgent by the CIP committee. The elementary school project remains that top priority. It looks like a $20 million renovation of GMS. And while this, has been, an ongoing discussion, it still remains an urgency. And so the committee decided that we would keep it at an urgency given the circumstances that this has been on the plan, so for a while. School district had other priorities this year. The Litchfield Middle School pavement parking lot and access road was identified by the CIP as an urgent. I guess this has been something that has been ongoing, and typically the urgency comes from, when it falls into place. If it's something for example, if it's looked at as projected as like in 2026 or 27, there's probably it's either going to be an urgent or necessary requirement, and also that it has to be done, because if it's not, then typically an urgency requires action now. So.
Can I back you up 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Griffin Memorial School amount, that $20 million, is that an amount that's been sitting there, or was that updated this year by the facilities management group?
I think the priority ranking, it remains there for the next 6 years because, I believe, of course, I'm going to, go to the facilities for the school, from my understanding, has been working to try to put together something for renovations for GMS.
This $20 million was a pre-existing number. Is that true?
It remains in there as the amount.
Placeholder?
So it's an urgency based on what the current status is.
So this number was just proposed this year?
Where does the total project cost come from? It says it's 31.
Because if they're asking for 20, but the total project's 31.
So they knew the warrant article was still being penned, So that's the number they gave us to put in here as a.
It comes from this.
Okay.
It comes from the
It's a
school.
hold number,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
It's a hold number. Like you
It's
said,
their number, their projected number, so,
Okay, thank you.
what was based off of what the superintendent, told the committee, the capital
Thank
improvement
you.
All we're
committee.
seeing is the 6 years cost.
You're seeing the 6 years. But keep in mind, things like this have to remain on the plan in order for you to consider impact fees and things of that nature. So that's why you're seeing it now as an urgency, because it's at 2026. So if it was out like 2027, 28 or something, you may see it as a different need. But because it's at 2026, that's why it's an urgency. Okay.
So that might not be the actual number for Griffin?
It's not done.
As I said, it could change, but right now, that's what it's projected at, based on what the school is telling us. So if it stays on the plan, as long as it stays on the plan and it's projected at that number, whether it changes or not, it has to remain on the CIP plan, so.
Our meeting on 11/3/2025, if I look at that calendar.
Yeah.
At that moment in time, that's what they thought it was gonna
Might
be,
be.
knowing that they had to still create warrant articles and all that.
So,
It's more of a holding area,
It's a holding area.
but the number, yeah, they don't have the number.
They don't have they
That's
don't
what
even have
they're
the quotes
thinking
or
if-
anything, Bob, so
if
that
it's
that number I
renovations.
don't think is,
Well, my thinking was that 2 years ago, there was a $40 million school that got voted down handily. Last year, we had a $6.5 million police station voted down handily. If they come in with this, it's gonna go right down the same
yeah,
path.
I don't believe that's where they're going, but
I think, I just think it's for the CIP for,
from the meetings
hope
I've
so.
watched, yeah, it doesn't seem to be.
but I
that.
remember seeing in the FIC meeting, I think the superintendent laid out the sort of the year-over-year costs. If you look at the inside out reports.
Outside.
Inside out. Yeah, if you look at those reports and you line them all up, it was up there, just to repair and do certain things to that building to make it habitable again, or into.
Well, the inside, outside, onsite, inside reports, and Ron, you were very familiar with this, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
Can't say it.
they stated that the biggest concern with Griffin School was the HVAC, which would cure probably 90% of the problems there. And then from there, it's because you have to do a roof at the same time, and then
Yep.
probably the windows would be the three, but that doesn't come up to this kind of a number.
Yeah, I don't know where it came
So
from.
I'd be very curious to see it.
and plus, but considering that it's renovations as well, I mean, and I don't know, I mean, I think the school has, I guess, been working hard to try to keep the cost down.
Yeah.
I think that was their goal, but obviously, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna be an ongoing discussion, I'm sure that, things
I
could
think there were
change.
just some meetings, I know they're still, those quotes are still coming in, so I don't know.
Another
how-
one, the 16th.
Meeting on the 15th.
Yeah, there is a forum,
16th.
yeah.
There's an FIC meeting tomorrow night, so feel free
I
to
think that
join.
got
So,
canceled.
yeah.
I heard that got canceled.
15th, the 16th?
The FIC, yeah,
Oh, tomorrow's.
Ross,
Oh,
yeah, I did hear that got canceled.
So, as I said, LMS pavement parking lot access road was identified as an urgency, based on, based on the school's, the need for the school. LMS purchase of the solar array and storage, I think a lot of people have heard about that. That was, decided by this CIP, our CIP, as identified as a necessary, given the circumstances of what's going on with all that right now. And I'm sure everyone knows about it by now. I won't get into that. CHS, that is the Campbell High School exterior building repairs were identified as necessary by the superintendent, as well as LMS repairs and improvements as identified as necessary, and the district-wide capital improvements were identified as necessary. And again, these are all on the plan, because they have to be on that plan in order to be considered, so, for impact fees.
The capital reserves are the monies that they have on hand, right?
Right.
Okay.
So we jump into the police department projects. So obviously, the new police facility that was planned for 2029, that was identified as necessary by the CIP, given the circumstances that, I guess they have a committee that's working on trying to figure out how they're going to develop a plan for that. The police cruiser lease, or if you want to call it a lease, or you want to call it a loan based on your own preferences, we identified that as urgent. I think that is an urgency for the town for 2026. And basically to come from existing funds, I think that, again, that discussion has been ongoing between this board and the police department, so, and it'll be a decision whether this board decides to act on that. The highway department, the town operating budget, you're looking at $200,000 for the annual road improvements. That's in accordance with the master road improvement plan of the town and basically a lot of this is offset by the highway block grant funds, which are used for that purpose. The additional improvements proposed for $200,000 per year, that's $600,000 over the next 6-year period, was designated as urgent. This is for the, obviously for the paving operating funds. The highway department building and equipment, you're looking, the highway department came before us, they were proposing to take from existing funds the new 170,000 highway storage garage to be built in 2026 from existing funds. That would be impact fees. That was identified as urgent given the nature of what vehicles are available and they need to store them. So that's a critical need. The replacement of 8 light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks, that was a discussion. The replacement of the 2000 Ford F-350 in 2026 was rated as urgent because it can't last anymore, from what I understand. So it needs to be, something has to be done now to get that replacement. So, recreation improvements, the new playground at Sawmill Brook and upgrade and replacement of the Darrah Pond Playground. They were proposed. That, I think, those were basically deferred and research the DNR, that's what that means. Research because we need to know a little bit more information before we go forward. And I think that the CIP was concerned that we didn't have enough information from recreation about how that was going to be handled. The community center proposed for 2029, there had been discussion about that. Talent Hall was in need of major improvements or a replacement. The project has been deferred, or well, it's been deferred by the CIP, or recommended as deferred by the CIP. Again, additional research purposes is needed. And the new community stage is proposed. That was designated as deferred. I guess they wanted to put a stage at Darrah, out at Darrah or out there, and that there was questions about that, and so it was deferred by the CIP and needed further research. Conservation Commission came before the Capital Improvement Committee. Originally, the land purchase, the priority ranking was necessary, but given that the CIP looked at it and decided to give it a priority rating of desirable, and we are keeping the potential costs over the next 6 years in place. Again, I think that's appropriate given the circumstances. I did talk to the Conservation Commission and they seem to be fine with it. But obviously the land purchase, that is something that we need, is being kept in here, obviously, as a placeholder, so. Library improvements, proposed new roof and foundation work was designated as urgent to be paid from existing funds. I know that I guess they were able to, I think it was going to be like $300,000 for a new roof, and I think they had to do research about, because of the building has a history, and obviously there's legal requirements that go with it, and but they basically figured out a way to pay from the existing funds. They didn't, so that they didn't have to do the 300,000 and whatever amount that they needed. The new security cameras were also designated as urgent. That the CIP made that an urgency. Library building, I mean, is proposed. I mean, this says an estimated $3,997,746, but no project year has been determined on that. That I think the project is also designated as deferrable and needed further research, because I think that's going to have to be a lengthy discussion on that.
So they'd get rid of the building they have right now and move into a new building?
Well, that's the idea. But and given because the building is historic and, you know, there's obviously, you know, legal requirements that are attached to it.
It has to be given back to the family, doesn't it, if it's not used as a library?
Yeah, so I mean, that whole discussion has to be had, and so I think we need more research, more ideas of what people are looking for in terms of that. Certainly up to the Board of Selectmen to look at that at their leisure. Obviously, I said the security cameras were urgent. Carpeting was necessary for the library, and we talked about the new roof. They claimed it was urgent, but they have the existing funds to take care of it. You see the spreadsheet up on the screen. That is basically the entire plan that we've outlined for you tonight. I would also look, if you look at the bottom, it says estimated, where it says estimated tax rate impact, you'll see the various priority rankings that the CIP used to provide information and make their recommendations. And that is all I have for a CIP plan. So that is for 2026 to 2031. So
Thank you, Mr. Grotto.
I hope that.
Any questions?
I'm gonna maybe need Kim for this one, because she knows the mathematics. We try to keep a little bit linear on the bottom, if you look at the totals, we didn't have a big spike, right, in one year, but it looked like there is a spike a little bit, just in 2029. Do you remember the reason for that?
Is that the solar panels?
Might be.
Probably.
Okay, so you see how we're trying to keep it, so there's, you know, the costs.
But this gets reevaluated every year, is that
It does,
correct?
but we were trying to keep it so there
Yeah,
would be no
yep.
big bad year in there.
Yep.
And I forgot to mention that when I said the existing funds for the library, they have a trust fund. I
Right.
think that's where their money is coming from,
Yep.
so to take care of those. So.
Yep.
That was-
On the tax rate impact, how are you calculating that? Because some items are coming directly from impact fees as a category, and other ones are for our consideration of warrants down the road.
Yes.
How, are we discounting the ones that are tied
Yeah,
as
so
impact?
Jay's backing out the ones that are
Impact only,
impact fees.
Yeah.
And which is a little difficult to do because like the highway, the garage, that's dependent upon a warrant article, or a zoning ordinance change.
Right.
Change
So that's
impact
one
fees.
of the items that the planning board is looking at. You have to actually pass that, for
Yep.
the building to be included as impact eligible.
The zoning board changes, I noticed we've got warrant articles to discuss today, and I noticed that all of the zoning ones are, no descriptions on them yet. Have you brought the actual zoning department in to talk to you about what you want to do? Have you brought them into your discussion?
Are you talking about the zoning board?
Our zoning
Your
board,
Your planning board
Laura
warrants that are coming
Gandia.
forward, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Have these been run by our chair and?
Who you guys?
yeah, I mean, I know we've done that. We tried to do that in the past, and we usually don't get a lot of input from the zoning board, to be quite honest with you.
I'd like to see you invite her, though. Or
We can
invite
certainly
the
do
board.
that. And obviously, we will have our public hearing on the 16th, so anybody can come.
But that's not an invitation.
But we can make
invitation-
it an invitation.
Yeah, make it an invitation with communication, and,
Certainly can do that. That's
yeah,
not
I'd
a
like to
big
see
deal.
that
Make it
input
official.
happen.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the input happen before town meeting.
Right.
As opposed to at town meeting, if there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we can accommodate that. but as I said, in the past, and I know in the past, and forgive me, Kim, maybe I think we tried to do that like, a couple of
They-
years, and they don't usually,
I know that the chair was there last year.
yeah.
And some of the zoning ordinance changes are items that might wind up in front of the zoning board, some are not. Like, for instance, the highway impact fee, that would never wind up in front of the zoning board.
There's no reason not to bring her in, though.
Yeah.
She's the chair of our zoning
course.
board,
But
and
she did weigh in last
She
year.
did. I forgive me,
Good.
yes. Typically, sometimes they will weigh in on issues. But I know, in the long term, that's usually few and far between. So, but I think last year, there was an issue that came up, so I think she did
Yeah,
speak to it, and,
Okay. I think
that's
that
why
happened
she-
at town meeting, though. Guess I'd rather have it at the planning board.
No, she came to the meetings too. but
She
she-
came to the
Okay.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
so.
No reason not to.
We
give
will
Laura-
certainly, I will certainly reach out to Laura.
Thank you.
And we will invite her and the board
Thank
if
you.
they want to come and have any questions or concerns.
Okay.
Happy to do that.
Thank you, Michael.
Anything else?
Yeah, any more questions for Mr. Croto? And if not, I think we just need to take a vote to accept the recommendation, right? So if there are no more questions, I'll entertain a vote. or
Well, I think
entertain
that,
a
I
motion.
think Mr. Oblinus brought up a good point about having the questions answered before we vote to accept it. Because once it's accepted, we can't change it, right?
Can change it next year.
Yeah, it's next year.
Well, as I said, we're an advisory board. This is coming to you folks.
It's a
Maybe
wish
it,
list.
it would be appropriate if Mr. Oblinus has had questions about the school to address them to you because you're the folks that are going to be
Yeah.
voting on it. So I will, I'll defer to you
So we
guys.
can, I guess the point that this, if there's no
Michael.
desire to move it forward because of the questions that were raised by Mr. Oblinus, I say we just table the acceptance for now. We advise, Mr. Oblinus to go speak to the school again, and we can send a note to the school saying he raised concerns, the board has decided to just hold off. Just to make them aware that we're waiting for them to satisfy the questions.
Can I just suggest just another CIP meeting where the board, CIP and the school board comes and I can raise the questions to the collective group
That
instead
would
of
be,
going
that
back
would be
and
Mr.
forth.
Croto's decision if he wants to do that.
Yeah, so,
It's up
forgive
to you.
me, but I believe when the superintendent and Ms. Darling came in,
Mhm.
they had the reports. And there was a lot of different items, some of which did not get included in the CIP because they were coming from capital reserves or they were coming from other things, or some they were even budgeting into their budget.
Mhm.
Is that, am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I seem to recall that.
Because it was a large amount of
It was a lot of stuff.
items that got whittled down to, so I guess we could go back and look at those minutes, in those meetings.
Mhm.
Um,
My question is, I mean, obviously, tonight, was the purpose of this was for the Board of Selectmen to approve. I know that I don't know if this is gonna be reviewed by, is it just the Board of Selectmen, or is it you gonna bring this to the Budget Committee for the warrant articles? How does that work?
just the board of selectmen.
The warrant articles, I mean, if I recall, the CIP identifies possible warrant articles. It's up to the board whether they decide
Right.
to
Correct.
forward warrant articles or fund it some other way, or even we don't agree with the priority, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, us not accepting this is not gonna stop us from proceeding with our warrant articles, I don't think.
Right, no, I understand.
But does it delay anything with regards to resetting? the
I just
fees?
don't, because of the timing, I didn't know if there's gonna be an issue with that.
When's the impact fee rate have to be established?
Well, so the impact fee rates are only established when there is a new impact fee study. So we've already got an impact fee study that's developed and it's currently already calculating
Based on
based
this.
on, yeah, so I don't think that's going to affect it. The schools now going forward are one account. So they could be used going forward, the new account could be used for any of these purposes.
What do you mean, all their impact fees are in one account now?
All their impact fees will be going to one account.
We voted that down a couple of years ago.
No, that passed a year, 2 years ago.
That came before us and we said no.
Some of the voters said yes.
That's the impact fee study that was approved by NRPC. Had it going to one account.
That's what I knew to be happening too.
No.
But they,
Doesn't
instead
have
of
I don't
just
remember
have,
that being
instead
discussed.
of
Doesn't
having
have
a
to, there's a
Griffin
public
one.
hearing.
I
Public
remember
hearing,
the
the board accepts.
former superintendent being in front of this
Yeah.
board and asking about putting it in one account, and we said no.
Okay, I think you're two different things, Bob. There was an article that, asked or a request that came in front of you to take the existing accounts and move them into one. That cannot be done, that's a no. So you have the accounts that have middle, high school, elementary, and if they were collected for that purpose, they stay in those accounts and can only be used for those accounts.
Right.
It was the NRPC study for impact fees going forward, which were only for items approved by the planning board this fall, this summer.
Yeah, I have to look.
Yeah, I forget, but
Which,
it's
yeah.
only, it was only, projects that were approved after that study was, accepted. That did not include Dairy Road. It did not include Corning.
I don't remember that
Didn't
discussion.
include any of those. Those all goes to the separate
I don't remember
accounts.
that discussion and changing that. I don't remember that at all.
So you're
Yeah,
saying
that
old-
was the
the
new
old
NRPC.
algorithm did that. The old, so we have things on this project that have to follow the old formula, and then whatever this new formula is. Where was that voted on? I'm trying to remember. Planning board?
I don't think
where?
we had
No, it was here.
control of
It
that.
was here.
No,
It was
it
here?
went to
Oh,
the
we do.
planning
We
board. It
control the
had
impact fees.
They do
Um,
control the impact fees as whether or not
vote,
they're used, but I think
and then
where
it
they
came
were
here, we had a public hearing,
That's how
and then it
it's
was
set up.
approved by the board, the new NRPC study, which only had one school account. But it's only projects that were approved by the planning board after that study was adopted.
So it was in 2023, and Mr. Leary questioned the consolidation. I'm just trying to see if it actually got voted or approved.
Because my point was, if they collect money for each individual schools and they went into separate accounts, they would be used for those schools. Now, if
Yes,
they put them all in one account, like with the LMS fiasco that we just had, they could have emptied all the accounts into LMS and had nothing. And then if something happened, then what do?
Funds were drained.
Right?
the
But
old
these
ones
are,
could not be
impact fees are for
consolidated.
new expenditures.
I remember the discussion.
Not, like,
but I
that's why you
remember
wouldn't
the
let them
These
use them
are
for
only
old
new.
windows or
I'm
something
trying
like
to
New
that.
figure
Yeah,
out.
it was- they tried to collect for
They
the
tried to
windows
collect.
2 years after they had been installed and paid for, because they were trying to recoup money.
I think it was
for
2024,
That I remember vividly.
beginning of 2024,
I
that
just
the
found
new
it.
NRPC was
I just found the report, yeah.
approved.
It looks like it got brought forward here, like in 2023, that's when it started, the conversation.
Oh,
anyway.
yeah, it was a long
And
conversation.
then February of 2024 was when the study was presented. Just can't find the actual voting.
But they wouldn't have been able to empty those funds for that, would they? Yeah, they would have, because it was a new,
If it was a new one, they
right,
could,
it was a new build of the,
if what he's
I'll
saying.
go back and,
It looks like it was February of 2024.
yeah.
Account improvement town voted.
So we do have accounts, the old accounts,
Mm.
that have money per school and they have to use them for that purpose.
want to be really careful those impact fees don't expire. Really important that those impact fees are
6
spent
years.
in the town. Yep, and 6 years flies by.
Yep.
And then you lose the money, so. Let's not let that
But
happen.
every school has issues that they can use them for within 6 years.
Mhm.
But again, if you have them all in one pot and they get sucked up, then you got nothing.
All right, so
I'll
at this-
find it, John.
At this point, yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like it was the February meeting in 2024
That was brought up.
that it was discussed, the plan, the new 2024 plan was discussed, but I can't see a vote whether you accepted it or not in the minutes. Then I'm trying to do this while I'm running a meeting, so I'll stop doing that now. All right, so we're gonna table, we're gonna
find it.
table the acceptance of it. I think we should send a note to the school that Mr. Oblinus had raised some concerns, and it would be helpful if they would have a conversation about it, to understand it. And then if they wanna come back to CIP to adjust, I guess that would be up reaching out to for a discussion.
I mean, we can certainly have a meeting if that's necessary, but, as I said, this is, we brought this
Advisory,
to the Board of Selectmen, so it's you
I
guys.
don't still think
We
we wanna go
appreciate
for.
that.
Yeah, I don't think we wanna go in and change your numbers if it's something you guys have been good at. I mean, the way I read that portion of it, it was just the year-over-year cost, not the total
Right.
cost. But get the question answered and we'll go from there.
And I apologize for bringing it up now, but I would have brought it up on the 18th, hasn't been a conflict.
But you did.
No, no,
you-
I
You did
understand.
decide which meeting you wanted to go to, that I will say.
So, should we take a vote on the table?
Might as well.
I'll make a motion that we table the acceptance of the CIP program, or CIP plan as presented tonight, until a time certain, once they have a conversation about the school
Any further
calculations.
information.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Second, Mr. Larry. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? No? All those in favor of tabling, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Thank you, sir. Never
I
easy.
think we're having a January meeting.
I think we're having a January meeting, yeah, I think so. I see it in the tea leaves. All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, next up will be the 2026 warrant article voting. I think it's gonna, based on the way that the budget committee is going, it's gonna be a really behoove us to vote all these in tonight and get them squared away if we can, so. Ms. Kleiner, you'd like to walk us through them?
Sure.
No, it was good.
Wait,
All right,
can I
so-
say something before we start? We have 26 warrant articles. 26. Is it possible that there are some of these that don't necessarily need to be here this year?
Well, that's part of this discussion,
Okay,
right?
ready.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, dear.
Yes, Jay?
we're good with pulling the conservation one, so you can get down to 25, we'll deal with it next year.
Okay.
Thank you,
It
Jason.
was gonna be at the end of the warrant anyway, no one's gonna get to it.
Taking one for the team, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll start
we
with
go.
operating budget, I guess, right?
It's gonna cost us a fortune
Yeah,
to print these out.
unfortunately, Article 9 you do have to have.
Oh, that's the one I would wanna remove.
The operating budget,
No.
and so, yeah, we're currently doing an analysis on what that means, but,
At least
so,
numbers.
Yeah, so, you wanna read it, you want me to read it?
yeah, the operating budget, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth in the budget posted with the warrant or as amended by the vote of the first session for the purposes set forth therein, meaning at the first session of town meeting, someone could change this. 8,419,995. The only thing I would caution on is I do believe the budget committee could also change this.
Correct.
Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be 8,160,158, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the town of Litchfield or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40, 13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Majority vote is required. The estimated 2026 tax rate impact on the operating budget is 9 cents.
Per thousand.
That's a difference of $259,837.
Between
Call for a
the,
vote.
between the operating and the default.
Yep.
Yes.
So, I need a motion to recommend.
So made.
Second.
A motion made by Mr. Leary, seconded by Mrs. Plansky. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Article 10, police cruiser purchase.
Police cruisers, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to enter into a 5-year lease purchase agreement for the sum of $215,752 for the purpose of lease purchasing 3 police cruisers with equipment for the Litchfield Police Department, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $47,366 for the first year's payment for that purpose. The first year's payment in the amount of $47,366 shall come from the unassigned fund balance, and no amount to be raised from taxation. This lease agreement contains an escape clause. The estimated 2026 tax rate would be 0, coming from unassigned. Estimated tax impact for 2027 would be 2 cents. New law requires that if it is a lease or an article that is multiple years, that you must place the tax impact for each year. Because it's the same amount, it's 2 cents each year.
I think that's helpful.
Yeah, I think it helps.
I agree.
We started doing that before this. We did that with the communication tower. We laid
But it
out
wasn't on
every
the
year.
warrant, though, it was only in the voter's guide.
Yeah, now it has to be
I
on
think
the
go ahead
warrant.
itself
I
is
like that.
nice, yeah. I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 10 as read.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Gannon, further discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I believe we need it, but I would like our chief to look at the proposal that we had discussed. I know he needs more time to research it. It won't be for this year. But I would like him to look at that for the future,
What
for next year.
What proposal is that?
I can't talk about it because we talked about it in non-public.
Was I there in non-public? Because I don't remember
Yes.
a proposal.
I'm drawing a blank too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm drawing a
Was it
blank.
this year? Was it since March? I don't remember either.
So, but we can have that conversation later. It won't affect this year anyway. So
Okay.
as long as he looks at that for next year.
Okay. So,
Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Article 11, ambulance revolving fund.
Yeah, so, I mean, so far I haven't run into any that, we can pull, and this isn't one of them either, unfortunately. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be placed in the ambulance revolving fund as previously established? This sum is to come from unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by new taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026. Tax rate impact $0.
how much do we have in that account right now?
So, I had that last year, last session. And we were down at 1.27. I know we've had more charges to it. Go back to last week's session.
I'm gonna be asking that question a lot.
Yeah, it's in your last week's meeting. And we had all the articles that we had. So,
Ambulance will, no, it's
Do
only.
you see it, John? I had it for last meeting
Oh,
when
we
we
were asking, I don't see
discussed
the-
all this. Let me go. Sorry, I have to go to my email.
This is one of the ones we're committed to.
Yeah,
have to pay
we.
this.
Yeah, you have to pay it, and
I'll
It
get
doesn't usually carry a big balance. It's usually just what we need or what we think we
So
need.
there's $10,000 in the budget.
Yep.
We go through that.
Mhm.
Then we had spent about $10,000 more. And I believe we've done 3 since that meeting, so that's why I say 7. But in the trustees account, if you look at, because with my town administrator's report, it's the trustees. Don't look at that, because we haven't figured out, which will happen on your meeting the 29th, whether we need to take that money from the trust to replenish the operating budget.
Right.
So,
What about, there's been discussion of getting an RFP for Londonderry. That doesn't appear in here, right?
we have a contract with the town of Hudson.
For how long?
We just signed it.
We just signed it 2 more years.
I think it's 2 years, yeah.
It was a
and-
3-year thing, yeah.
And so we did just, here it is. So, 14,192 was the balance. We've paid to Comstar, this year, $20,483.01.
That was the debt removal.
And that will be the question as to the 29th. Do we need to replenish
That money.
that amount, that 20,000 from this?
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say going to an RFP, I don't think resolves us of this issue.
Okay.
It does change some service things that we may wanna improve on and stuff like that, but I don't, this is folks not paying the ambulance bill, and I think most municipal are the same rates. I believe it's somewhat all the same rates.
Yes, but the issue is throughout the state, because we've had many town administrator and town manager meetings on this issue, and we would actually need a legislature change at the state level
Okay.
to get us out of this. We did talk to Londonderry before we negotiated this last contract with Hudson, but they were not prepared to
Okay, so now they are, so
assist us at that point.
we'll go forward. Okay.
We do have the new agreement with the town of Hudson that was just approved, where if they're using our paramedics.
That I know. Yep, that I
and-
know.
Yeah,
That they were
so.
double
Favorable,
dipping.
Yes,
little fair, a little more
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, they were double
Yep,
dipping.
they'll
Bad.
compensate us for that.
Yep, that's why I want to go out. I don't want to play with it anymore. Okay, I make a motion.
Motion to recommend?
Make a motion that we put $20,000 into the revolving fund to pay for unpaid ambulance fees.
So motion to recommend Article 11, ambulance revolving fund. Do I
In a
have a second?
roundabout way, yes.
Motion made by Ms. Plansky, seconded by Mr. Leary. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 500.
Had flashbacks to Mr. Lynch. It's a long way around the barn, but he got there.
Wow.
That's a compliment, believe it or not.
Okay,
All right, Article 12, general assistance expendable
Still lives.
trust fund.
Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $20,000 to be placed in the general assistance expendable trust fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate impact 0. I did include on the next page the amount that we have paid for the last 3 years. Again, this will be a question on the 29th on whether we need to take it from the fund.
So, but we currently have $41,000 in the trust fund.
We currently
All
do.
Expenses, right?
Yes.
And in the last 3 years, the highest expense was let's call it 33,000.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really need to replenish this fund right now?
So
Thinking about dropping a warrant article, that's all.
my concern would be that we are running very close this year. And should we have to take some to cover the 2025 and bring this money back into the operating budget? If we get default next year, we have to pay general assistance. There's nothing that prevents it. And if we get default, we might have a problem doing so. Even though we have to.
I'm just worrisome they're not gonna get that article and not even vote it, so.
Right, and then
So
it's another one
failures,
that
okay.
That might
says,
be.
another one that says it comes from the unassigned fund balance.
Well, it's the way we've done
I
it,
hate
we've done
that.
it that way
Office
every
feathers.
year, but,
Yeah.
so it shouldn't, it's been approved by, good margin, so. Don't care about that. Alright.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Gannon to recommend Article 12. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Ms. Queenan. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0, no, 4-1-0.
And so I know we talked about this, on the 24th too, about the unassigned fund balance. If all of these articles were to pass, it would be 357,000.
Going out of the unassigned, yep.
Yeah.
Which takes the unassigned down to what?
It was 11? was it?
10.32%.
3,000,000?
$3,243,323, if they all pass.
I'm more concerned with people not voting for all the warrant articles.
Still higher than the 2024 balance, even if they all passed.
All right, Article 13, establish a capital reserve.
To see if the town will vote to establish a town vehicle and equipment capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for replacing or maintaining town-wide critical vehicles and equipment, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $125,000 to be placed in this fund. This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised by new taxation. Further, to name the Board of Selectmen as agents to expend from said fund. Recommendations required, majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate impact 0.
So this would bring it up, create one at 125. Whatever we spend out of it, we would do another warrant article to put it back up to 125.
Well,
Oh, no,
I think the hope is we would keep it and bank it even higher before so we can spend on larger capital, but.
right, so all of your town departments, highway, police, fire,
Yep.
did a exercise and put all of their vehicles and equipment into, an analysis to see what we would need. You have over $10 million of vehicles and equipment that would need to be purchased within the next 15 years.
But this would also, by having this, like right now, we're looking at where we can get a great deal for a fire pumper because of the grant. But we don't have the funds, so we can get, 80% off a truck if we had the funds readily available.
Absolutely. Yes, it'll be an absolute shame if we cannot get that truck.
How much is the town match on that?
The town, so we have about $60,000 in impact fees, and we'd need another $60,000 in cash. It's about 120 for the town's portion.
I'm still more comfortable with 100,000 on this instead of 125. I know it started at 200, but I'm still more comfortable with 100,000.
Gee, I thought we split the difference, it was
We
one
did.
fifty, now we get 125.
That's what I was laughing at.
I'm still more comfortable with 100.
Bob's coming back to the table. He's pulling his
I side
chips
with Bob
back.
on this one.
I mean, if there's a recommendation around changing it, this is the opportune time to do it.
I make a motion to change the sum from 125,000 to 100,000 to be placed in the town vehicle and equipment capital reserve fund.
My second.
Motion made by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Plansky. Discussion?
I'm
And
okay
you
with
gotta
that.
try and make it more palatable for the taxpayers.
I agree.
Even though it's an assigned fund, it's still, they look at the number.
Yeah, I think the only thing we struggled with is that's so far away what we actually need in the first couple of years.
But we
There's
have.
nothing in there now.
Get
Yeah,
something started.
we have so much.
Yeah.
We just have so much coming out of this. This is just, it's a lot for anybody to handle.
Yeah, I think it's worth I think it's worth getting the reserve established.
Mhm.
Believing it makes sense. And yeah, if 100,000 makes it more palatable for folks, then
I
so
would
be it.
reduce it more, so.
All right, on the motion to change to 100, from 125 to 100,000, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. Now, I need a recommendation to push Article 13 forward.
So moved.
Made by Mr. Leary, do I have a second?
Second.
By Ms. Plansky. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500 to recommend Article 13. Moving to Article 14, Human Services and Health Agencies.
So as required, our citizens rep, April Weber, and our health, our deputy health, but he's acting health, inspector right now, Mr. Kelly, and I met, last Friday, and we went through all of the requests. And so I do have on the site, information by agency. We did look, as the budget committee has asked in the past, on how many distinct residents of Litchfield were served by these agencies. So, we did not just take their numbers, and you'll see that some are reduced and some we are recommending to be funded at their request. So, the total of those requests that were recommended by the committee were $21,800, which is just a tad up from last year, not as much as the previous year. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $21,800 to support human services and health agencies providing services to the town of Litchfield? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Majority vote required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact is 0. And so, I don't know if there's any questions.
We did drop that by $5,000. The original ask was 26,800.
And, you know, I think there was a lot of really healthy discussion. And I will have those numbers for the budget committee, John, on Thursday, because I know they'll ask about the number of residents. But we definitely felt that some of these agencies proved by their numbers the impact they have in Litchfield.
And they use the money in Litchfield, they don't take it elsewhere.
Right, I mean, you know,
We're not curing Pelham or
Our-
Hudson.
Okay.
It's for Litchfield.
and I would like to thank these agencies. A number of them have already signed up to come to the resource fair in January to make themselves present for our residents that might attend. So we want to thank them for that.
All right, do we have a motion to recommend?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Gannon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leary. Further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 500 to recommend. Article 15, Property Reevaluation Expendable Trust Fund.
We dropped this one.
I absolutely make a recommendation that we drop it this year.
You can't.
Why?
Because I always have to
Because
do
in
it.
5
I'm gonna
years,
be
we gotta pay
stoned
for
if
it.
I go up there.
Great, double it next year. I don't want to put that in front of people this
We
year.
have a balance, right?
Well, you're afraid because the name
So
is
we're-
gonna be
We're not gonna,
shredded.
Double it
yeah,
next year.
the idea is you don't have a balance, you just had a revaluation, so it'll be paid down.
Pay down, yeah.
We do have a RFP out there,
I don't like them either.
which
I don't think we should use
those
them.
proposals are due this Friday,
We have one.
next Friday, the 19th, sorry.
Yeah.
But to,
Do it double next year. It's coming out of unassigned, right?
It is coming out unassigned, yes.
Do double next year. You don't have to do that one. But I want to get rid of some.
I mean, you
The
could,
unf-
but
the Get rid of 7 zoning articles.
in the next 3 years, you need to get
You can't, it's the
a
ADU.
bunch approved.
I know, that's what's messing things up.
And there was some other one we found late in the game.
Kicking it down the road.
So if.
Yeah,
if-
I'd
if
kick
the
it down the
board- If
road.
the board wants to remove it, I'll take a motion to remove it. Making a motion to remove it.
I'd like to make a motion to remove it.
Do I have a second on the removal of Article 15?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Queenan. All right, discussion? The only thing I'll say is that next year, we go make it double, that now it's a bigger number and people.
It's still unassigned, and hopefully we don't have
I
all
understand
these.
that.
Or you can make
So
it
hopefully we don't have all
If
of
they
these.
say no next year.
Right, and what
Yeah.
happens
I
if we
know.
don't get it this year, they say no next year, now we're $75,000 in the hole to pay a bill we gotta pay at some point. But, if the desire is to pull it, we'll pull it.
You're not giving me
much as I
anything to
dislike
pull. You're not giving me anything to pull, so that residents have to go through 26 warrant articles. We know they don't.
But here's the problem, this is what we've been told, they wanna have a choice, hiding it in the budget, putting it in the budget, no one sees it there, putting it out here gives people the right to decide one way or the other. I agree, I think Steve Perry and I see it, the fatigue that happens on these warrant articles happens right after the first page.
Yeah,
So I get it. I just would rather let the voters decide one way or the other versus pull it, but, again, I'm okay with going with the majority, so. Okay, all those in favor to pull it, say aye.
aye.
I,
Oh, really?
I just don't think we should.
I'm
don't
reluctant,
either,
but
As much as I dislike
So
them.
Article 15 is removed.
Okay.
Yes.
yay.
Got one down.
Hey, there's one.
It's gonna hurt next year.
Well, yeah, it's gonna, but it's still from unassigned. So,
Okay, Article,
33.
Article 16. Public
Article
Works.
16, the current balance is $339, so you're not buying anything with that. Article 16, Public Works Expendable Trust Fund. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $30,000 to be placed in the Public Works Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum is to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised by new taxation. Majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate 0.
I'm gonna beat Diane to it, how much was in there this year? I know what we have left, which is not even.
329,
fill a
Yeah,
truck.
$329.
That's what we have left, but what did we start with?
we had funded it last year, 50,000, so,
Okay,
yeah, that's the, not the backhoe.
the case, the skid steer.
Okay. So we
So
used
this
it,
can
we
fund-
funded it last year,
This can
and
fund,
we used it for the skidder this year.
right, so this warrant articles, this trust is a little different. It can be used for public works, it can be used for transfer station.
Because when we
Ah.
agreed to pay this, I asked what was gonna happen if we needed more money. after that skidder was paid for. And I was told that it wouldn't be a problem, so
We do
I'm not
fund
sure
it
how I
every
feel
year.
about this one.
When did we buy the skids?
We fund it every year.
March and April.
March,
March,
yeah, it
April.
was right after.
Might have been my
Very
first
beginning.
meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, if we know what we wanna use it for, like they wanted the skidder or whatever, then I think that the warrant article should say that's what it is, not Public Works.
Well, it was meant to be able to cover, it was, we had separate warrants in the past. I thought the idea here was to create a fund that we could type into for both entities.
Both
'Cause they
entities.
share
But
a
we
lot of
did
things.
use it to buy something specific,
This year, right.
a capital purchase this year, right?
But when you listen to the budget committee, they're trying to get to where, let's eliminate some of these peaks and valleys and try to get a run rate, and if we could
Then
start
they're gonna hate
establishing
me.
some funds.
So, what's the desire of the board?
And I think what's difficult now is there's been some conversation, and we're concerned about having the right equipment for the new sidewalks.
Then that should be the warrant article. I don't wanna hide it in a Public Works expendable trust fund, if we know what we want it for.
What do they use on the sidewalks now? It's a snow blower, right?
No,
Just skid steer
It's
with
a-
it,
Yeah, it's a,
with a
with
snow
a,
blower.
with a, like
With a snow blower
a
attachment,
attachment to,
I
in
don't
the
even
front
think
of a skid steer.
Yeah, that's what they're doing now.
Yeah, but what we're concerned about is the width of these,
The newer ones.
of the newer sidewalks.
then that's what we need a warrant article for.
Can items in that one overlap with 13, Article 13? We're building a new fund, but is that, as long as that one passes?
It could be an overlap at
Yes.
that point, yeah.
Yes, I would say that you could buy it from either.
So why don't we not do anything with this one?
Okay.
Let's hope that 13 passes. You know, $100,000 instead of $30,000.
Diane's dancing over
But
there.
I'm
then we
kinda
then we
excited, it
only-
might actually
I
work,
don't say
guys.
close the fund, I say we
No,
just
no,
leave the
no.
fund alone.
No, leave the fund
for now.
alone, I'm not saying close it, I'm just
Let's
saying
go for
remove the warrant
100,000
article.
and
You
then
happy?
come
All right,
back
but
and
I'm getting
the
happy.
skidder and the cleaning machine for the sidewalks just happen to be vehicles. I don't know what other means. We're
Equipment,
trying to
yeah.
do that for like when we had a flood. I'm not blaming the beavers, but didn't we have some water damage on a pipe or something? Was that what this was gonna be for?
Oh, was that on
Pilgrim.
Pilgrim?
Yeah, was
Pilgrim
that, that
over
was
and
this-
over and
was that
over
what this
again?
fund was gonna be for, to
well, it's for
help with
anything,
that?
right? It's for anything.
But we
with
didn't
equipment.
use it for that.
We didn't use it for that, but I
Yeah,
thought
and
that
that's what
was
I
the
don't like
reason.
about it.
No.
It's a,
So the pipes, I believe that you're thinking of, and there's another
I'm just
street.
thinking any
Cul-de-sac.
pipe damage, the cul-de-sacs are
Cul-de-sacs.
expensive. Was that the fund that we're talking about now?
That's the
trying-
200
Oh,
of,
the
of the
200,000.
200,000
Okay,
of
perfect.
additional paving
Okay, so it's
money
covered.
that he's looking for is to address those
Okay,
problems.
so that's covered.
okay,
Yeah,
so I make
don't
a,
cut that warrant article, please, but that's not from unassigned.
I make a motion that we remove Article 16.
I'll second that. Sorry
Motion
about-
made to
I'm
remove
sorry, I
Article
cut you off.
16. And seconded by Ms. Queenan. Further discussion? Of all those in favor for removing Article 16 from the 2026 ballot, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500.
My driveway's gonna be full of snow, and I'm never gonna go to the.
Mine was not been good, so,
This is the next one is that item, additional paving.
yeah.
this is
Article
a different thing, this I got, this I think we, yeah.
Article 17, additional paving.
To raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to supplement the highway department's budget and fund additional paving costs within the town of Litchfield. Expenditure of said funds to be the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen in their discretion, if determined to be necessary and in the best interest of the town. Majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate impact 10 cents. Wait a minute, that can't be right.
That sounds really high.
That's not right, 'cause-
It can't be high. Can't be that high.
Probably 10 cents, right?
I'd like to cut
That's-
that in
that's-
half.
That's more than the
That's
operating
more than
budget.
the operating budget. Just got onto
It's gotta be, it's gotta be poignant, it's gotta be aggressive.
There's reflective and then there's gold.
While you figure that out, I'm gonna make a motion to reduce it from 200,000 to 100,000
I second.
to make it more palatable for the taxpayers.
So motion made by Mr. Leary to reduce by 100,000 to 100,000, seconded by Ms.
Oh.
Plansky.
I would, but my computer's
Dis-
not liking me. It
Discussion?
just
Just gotta make it
crashed.
easier for the taxpayers to say yes.
So the,
You know we need it, but.
We do need it, but it's a fund that we can accumulate over time, that will be
What?
used for exactly what we're telling the
But he is
voters
gonna
that
use
it'll
it
be for.
paving. Yeah, he will use it for paving.
He will have to,
first off, it's not a fund, it's an actual,
trust.
it's a request for that year of business, there's no savings here.
Correct.
So, I would only argue that $100,000 doesn't actually tackle any major problem.
I thought this was, I thought this was,
It's in addition.
It's in addition.
it's in
to-
addition.
Correct. And I think the challenge is we have roads that are beginning to fall apart, our infrastructure is
do.
having issues. He sees the need to bring this back and ask the voters to support him in continuing those projects. I don't
Okay,
remember what-
so,
It was removed during
It
COVID.
was removed during COVID, just prior, just around COVID, was told to get reestablished, but then we did the fire station, and there's a whole bunch of stuff, the reasons why it got removed. And then COVID came back, and we couldn't put it back in realistically, because nothing was going the way we wanted to go. I think Kevin's position, and I tend to agree with what he said, that the voters have been supporting it in the past, and the voters understand the need of the infrastructure. They should have the right to say yea or nay.
so if he doesn't use this year, it doesn't hold over.
No, it
But
does
he will
not.
use it.
He will use
Oh,
it.
he will use
Make
it,
sure
yeah.
he
Oh,
uses
He
it.
always does.
He's behind on the
Again, he hasn't had this
plan.
money for a long time, but he always spends his,
Yeah.
the grant, the money he gets from the state plus whatever we have in the budget for
What do you
it.
think?
So-
And then he has a plan for every year, how many roads he's gonna do, and then eliminates it, and it
About 50, 150.
Right.
I think that's probably a little too short.
Does he do the paving
Won't get
himself,
much
or does he
time.
bring someone in?
No, he always
So
contracts
leave
it.
him at
I'm gonna say
200.
the staging setup cost is to bring somebody
Leave it
in.
at one,
I'm
and I'm
good at
saying
that.
That
$150.
Oh, you said one.
So I say most of the
No,
projects I see he has
No,
on the
no, no,
list
I'm
are
saying 150.
well north of that cost,
Negotiating.
that's why I'm concerned.
I agree with you.
Negotiating up.
Okay.
All right,
So you gotta make an amendment. I'm gonna withdraw my motion because Ms. Plansky apparently has a better one.
I just negotiated it up
Okay, so
50,000.
strike that, what's the new motion then?
The new motion is to appropriate the sum of $150,000 to supplement the highway department budget and fund additional paving costs within the town of Litchfield.
Okay,
Article 17.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Leary. Discussion, or further discussion?
It is right.
What's that?
It is right.
Kim's gonna be doing math all night.
No,
over
it
there.
is right.
It is right, 10
Yeah,
cents?
because the tax impact on the budget is only the increase.
Correct.
So
This is-
that's
This is
why
this is
it's
all-
lower. This is, yeah.
Okay.
Right,
So
well, then I like
What's your new
it.
number? Is it seven,
So now, what did you
7.5?
bring it down to?
150.
Oh, we haven't done it at all. We haven't got a vote.
Yep.
You might want to wait
All
till we
right,
get a
all those in
vote.
favor to reduce to 150, say aye.
Aye?
Opposed? Motion motion carries 4-1-0.
But it's got to vote their heart here.
Eight.
All right, on the amended motion, Article 17, now set for $150,000 to supplement the highway budget.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Second by Mr. Leary.
Oh,
Any further discussion?
I thought we were voting on that. Sorry. I messed up. I would've,
Would you
okay.
want-
Now we
You
are.
voted
now we're
against
voting
the
on the one that I was.
Now we are,
gonna say,
and we're all voting yes.
Yep, so all
I
in
think-
favor for moving, recommending Article 17, $150,000 for highway, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Oh,
Motion carries 4-1-0.
okay.
You got a majority vote, goes on.
Yeah, 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 we're going.
All right, Article 18. Do we have to leave this as Article 18? Can we move this to the bottom?
You can move it wherever you'd like.
Get anything that we need it's further up if we can.
You want it to
But-
be
Come back
the
to
end?
it.
Can you just move it to the end?
Yep, I can.
Come back to it.
Yep.
So, and so it'll be Article.
Whatever that number happens to be.
All right, Article 19 right now, recycling. Recreation Expendable Trust Fund.
Yes. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $50,000 to be placed in the Recreation Expendable Trust Fund as previously established? This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance and no amount to be raised from new taxation. Majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate impact 0.
much
This
is in
was
there?
a request from the Recreation
How
Commission.
much is in there right now?
$51,416.
Yeah.
So the
How much did they
intention of-
spend this year?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, so anybody know what this 50,000, additional
So
$50,000
there
earmarked for?
is an amount that
They
will
have
be.
some set aside for the floor repair
Floors,
over there,
yep,
which
right.
they have not done because
Right now
they,
it's held up because there's other issues.
yeah,
now.
because the people didn't wanna inject the stuff in the floor because it was just going through. So until they get underneath and put something in, but they had quite a bit of money expended for that.
25,
Or
I
set
think?
aside for that, it was at least 25.
25, 30?
But wouldn't this
Yeah.
current,
And
wouldn't that
then-
show that as an encumbrance though? That wouldn't be showing what's remaining?
No, it stays-
No, you can't, you don't have an encumbrance against an expendable trust.
So where,
Like
You also
that.
can't spend it.
where are we showing the approval for that money though? I know, remember we voted it happened, so didn't we mark it anywhere that we took it out?
We have it, yeah, that it's been approved, but we won't ask for the amount of money from the trustees until it is paid.
And then the other concern they have is they don't know how old the roof is. Or the heating, well, we know how old the heating system is old,
Ancient.
so is,
Although,
So, my only concern is, like, I've heard, like, new playground for Sawmill, new playground for Darapon. I haven't seen any movement on it. I understand the building concerns. I mean, I think it's an asset we wanna try to maintain or keep it running anyway.
Playgrounds have traditionally been done by groups in town that have held fundraisers and had committees. And then we end up with them and then we need to maintain them. So I don't know if establishing playgrounds is my forte. Maintaining them is extremely important, and we had some problems at Dara with that playground falling to disarray, and it was allowed to continue.
Right, and I guess my question is, do they have a plan, and what's the timeline on this plan, and when are they gonna expend these dollars? Are they really gonna expend it this year coming up?
no.
I'll ask them tomorrow night.
So, I mean, I
Don't
wanna
mention
see
my
I wanna
name.
see the things happen, I just don't wanna see the money sit there
No,
this
it
year.
won't.
I don't either, but as
There's
far
other
as
things they
this,
have to spend it on.
yeah,
too.
I mean, rec usually doesn't waste a dime. I can't say that they do. I
50 is
think
a
they have a
lot.
valuable place in town. I just want a position in town. I just want to know what they're going to use it for and what they're saving for, and if it's to keep Dara running, then I think it's probably a good use of money spent.
How about we drop it until they can come back with a list of what they're going to use
Just,
it
yeah,
for?
just, I'd be happier than just throwing $50,000 in an account.
I mean, I think so 17 was cut,
Yeah, we've got,
right? So it was.
Was that when
cut.
they were here with
That's
the,
life-saving. That's stormwater. That's like life-saving.
what are you talking about? Are you back at Public Works?
Well, the additional paving, that money
Uh-huh.
is because we're gonna have to rip up some stormwater.
So you're arguing that
Some-
because we cut that, we should cut this?
No, we I think where her point would be is that we're taking away from public safety,
Public
roads,
services, yeah.
public services,
All right?
so.
necessary versus need.
So,
Right.
and
Well,
again,
Dara-
there may be an absolute need, my question
I would
was,
like to
what is
know.
the need? So,
Yeah, me too. I would like to know if they're
Needs.
using it for Dara, because
I
I know
would,
Dara's falling apart.
I would suggest we just let this vote, we don't vote this one, let it sit there, let the rec commission respond.
Mhm.
And if we just, again, rough idea, what's the dollars they're looking to spend and what's the timeline? You know, if they're gonna go fix the Darapon playground, for example, then that's gonna get fixed when, the spring, it'll be completed by the spring.
Yeah,
If they're gonna invest the impact fees they have for Sawmill and put a pergola in there, do you need any of this money, and if so, when is that gonna be executed and done with, right?
Okay,
And then if
I
the
wouldn't mind
building
hearing.
itself, if they're concerned with the building and they have immediate needs for the building in 2026, what do those estimates look like to see if that, it backs in, right? Because maybe it's not enough too, maybe we have to, maybe put more money in, right? We don't want the assets going away.
no,
But I'm also just- I
we
still
need
wanna-
to take care of the assets
I
that we
also
have.
see, support Kim's point that Kevin has a plan that
Yeah.
he's trying to execute to.
I agree.
We just cut it by $50,000.
Right.
They do not have a plan now. They have a lot of wants, they have a lot of, and I should apologize to them, because I'm sure I'm gonna get text messages.
I'm expecting a couple.
But it's.
I'm expecting a
they're gonna-
couple.
You're gonna build up this fund, so what are you using it for, like you were saying? What-
That's all I
What
wanna
have you
know.
done so far? What are you using it for?
Yep.
What is the
I
plan?
don't think that's
And
unreasonable.
I think that, they've been good stewards,
They have.
as far as I know, up to this point anyway, and it's
Yeah.
just more of a question of, I saw it come down, and I never saw anything that backed why they were requesting the 50,000. So I think it would be a little bit more information would be nice.
Thank you. Robert said he'll take care of that.
Okay, so we'll just table this one until
Yep.
next meeting.
Okay.
But I'd like to, because I just want to make sure, Kim, were you saying for number 17, because you're kind of back up there, is that where the problems with the cul-de-sacs are fixed? With that
An
fund
additional
there?
paving?
An additional
Yeah.
paving?
So
And
that,
what is the cul-de-sac cost to
I think
fix
we're
all
already
that?
past that one,
We are past, but
unfortunately.
I think that's
Yeah.
what you were saying, right? You took
Well, I
it.
think, too,
Yeah,
more point was we
I
reduced
think-
it easily, and then.
Just saying.
Hey, I talked
I
about
think some
50
of that
grand.
is life
Talked about 50
safety.
grand.
and
All right, legal expendable trust fund.
So, Diane's pushing us along here. So Article 20, to establish a legal expendable trust fund, just a reminder, we're the ones that decided that'd be the way to do it, because we took 10,000 out of the budget.
Yeah.
So Kim?
to see if the town will vote to establish a legal expendable trust fund per RSA 3119A for the purpose of funding unanticipated legal expenses, and to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 to be placed in the fund. Further, to name the selectmen as agents to expend from the fund, this sum to come from the unassigned fund balance, no amount to be raised from taxation, estimated 2026 tax rate impact, $0, majority vote required.
So how much, this is to establish an expendable, how much did we spend on legal fees this year, and how much is in the budget?
We went way
The
over.
budget was cut.
And we also spent a lot because there was a lot of legal for,
Should we be
Purchase-
cutting the amount of
purchase.
legal, should we be using common sense instead of legal every time we turn around?
So I
So I
think,
just feel like we rely on legal so often.
so the action we took in the budget was we reduced the number to be more in line to the year-over-year costs. And we added a $10,000 into the revolving fund for the old balance, where we run over it. This way I'll sit there for an attorney until we need it, and we gotta use it, we backfill it later. We always have a little bit of a buffer.
So it was cut from 25,000 to 20,000. So it was cut $5,000. And I'm not sure, I'm not sure what the question is. Do we rely on legal?
Much. Do we? Do we call them too frequently? Could we be using more common sense, and not running to legal every time we have a question about? It just seems like every time we talk now.
common sense over legal advice. I'd lean towards legal advice every time.
So I
Suggest
I'm
next,
not sure what
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
No?
don't
right.
trust ChatGPT, please.
Let's replace legal with
the-
ChatGPT.
I'm not sure what the question is, because I don't think we rely on them that often. I think we rely on them, certainly the purchase of Lock Mill. They are writing the deed. That's standard. Any town would do that. When we're talking about tax deeded property, when we needed to remove the squatters, that was a case, we had to go to court. Yes, they represented the town. I'm trying to think of other things this year that,
Purchase of Georgia property.
The purchase of Dorosha, yeah.
Conservation paid for that.
Yes, those legal.
But it was
fees
still
paid
legal,
by-
you know,
That came out of
Right.
conservation's money.
Yeah, conservation.
But I don't think, review of the warrant articles and review of the zoning ordinances that are proposed, legal will review. DRA, I mean, they request that. You're supposed to have your warrant articles checked by legal counsel.
Okay.
It may be a good exercise. You can look through the billable hours. I think
I'd
the
love
billable
to.
hours show the requester, you know, the top, I think, very high-level topic potentially, and I think it shows a price for the call. I remember seeing it in the payroll, I mean, in the manifest.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love
So
to see
it'll
that.
say the topic, right? So, I mean, Penachuk was a big one. But legal needed to be, in those conversations.
Absolutely, all those things sound
Yeah.
appropriate. It just seems like we're always saying
So,
it. And
yeah.
I just
So-
hope that we're not replacing our common sense with just picking up a phone and asking a lawyer. You know, sometimes we get more problems than we solve when we start with that.
Yeah,
So,
I would suggest looking at it and potentially, if you see something that kind of catches your eye,
okay,
ask what it was about,
okay.
get clarification.
Can I get that then, Kim?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
We have to vote on it.
yep. So a motion to approve or recommend? So made. Made by Mr. Leary, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Queenan. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-1-0. All right, Article 21, supplemental fire coverage.
To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $218,000, $218,400 to supplement the fire department's budget to allow for increased coverage overnight as necessary to protect the safety and welfare of the residents of Litchfield. These will be per diem employees not eligible for benefits. Majority vote is required. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact 11 cents.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Plansky, second by Mr. Gannon to recommend Article 21. Further discussion?
What happens if this fails?
They don't get
Nothing.
weekend coverage.
No, they don't get overnight
They
coverage.
don't get overnight
But
coverage.
doesn't
So they
the,
still have on-call.
the ambulance
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
for,
There's on-call.
They would still have the,
an ambulance still shows up.
So,
Yeah.
the
Oh, God,
only
yeah.
thing, the only
That's
thing this
different. That's a
does
different fund.
is it allows to have 2 per diem firefighters in the station during the off hours.
I vividly remember the presentation by the chief, and I thought it was really good.
Yep.
And I have no problem voting yes on that for the safety of the town.
And I would hope the voters would understand where it's coming from and saw the presentation and hopefully it's during deliberative too, but, I mean, the fire service, majority of calls are in the evening.
I know.
And they're typically medical, and in the last few weeks, they've been back-to-back calls, and
It's
having
been
those
excessive.
resources in the station will be quicker and allow them to respond faster, so. Okay,
But again, I think it's quite a bit of money, you know, for a year where we're really tight on the budget and we don't know what's gonna pass. And they do have the per diem guys overnight, so, or the on-call guys, I should say. So, I mean, I don't know that this is the year to bring this up, especially since we just added weekend coverage.
weekend coverage has been around a lot longer than
Weekend coverage was last year or the year before?
that.
last year's was 70-something thousand dollars.
That was for the per diem, the daytime per diem person.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a
The
third, that
year
was
before
for
it
a
weekend.
third man in, during the
Yeah,
day.
the year before it was the weekend though.
I agree
May
with you,
have
Bob.
been.
The amount is scary and people, for that reason, I think it's gonna be shot down, but I also like the idea of letting the people decide.
Right.
You know, having 2 people on at night is huge because it decreases response time. I should say, not increases, decreases.
Makes it faster.
And then they get. get on
$4,200
scene,
a week for 7 days. I don't think you put one. You wanna add one? Can you add one? Does one work?
Can't add one, it doesn't.
No, you have to
two.
have two,
You have
right?
to have minimum two to leave the state, actually, yeah, minimum two to leave the
To
station.
keep the station open?
Yep.
I don't know, he presented an amazing argument for having this.
I just don't know if this is the year to do it. That's my concern.
Yeah, it's a tough year.
All right. All those in favor to recommend, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained, motion carries 3-0. And I tend to agree with you, Bob, but I think the other side of it, let the voters decide. I think at the end of the
They have
day,
the right.
Yeah,
they have the right to see it. So-
you know, again, it's getting the information out to the
They have- they
voters,
have a job to do.
why,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a job to do.
All right, moving to Article 22, Library Earned Time Expendable Trust Fund.
And this is from the library trustees. Article 22, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,000 to be placed in the library earned time accrual expendable trust fund as previously established. Majority vote required, estimated 2026 tax rate impact is 0.004, not even a penny. It's $8,000. This is, so they had a reduction in this trust fund because of the retirement this year, so they need to replenish it. That's the reason for the request.
Okay,
And they can't come, this can't come through the budget, right? They don't have the budget for this?
Right, well, the other thing is this is a trust fund that's kept by the trustees and
Oh.
it's not
Not a budget.
depleted, yeah.
okay.
Motion
Motion to recommend.
to recommend Article 22.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Motion made and seconded, Article 22, discussion?
I don't know about this one either. I mean, there's that ugly
not
thing
even
of people bankrolling stuff and getting a big balloon payment at the end.
Let's just call the
We've gotta
vote.
get a way around it.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, motion fails 2, 3, 0, yeah. All right, Article 23, which I just heard earlier, we can strike, so we'll strike that one.
I thought you'd strike more.
Well, you gave up too early, I guess. Article 24, additional town clerk hours.
Shall the town vote to increase the weekly hours of the town clerk
It's 20.
one part-time position from 35 hours to 40 hours per week, effective April 1st, 2026, for an estimated annual wage, benefit, and other related costs of $23,020.99. And further, to vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $16,162.87 for wage, benefit, and other related costs for the period of April 1, 2026 to December 31st, 2026. Estimated 2026 tax rate impact 1 cent. Majority vote required. So you're raising and appropriating the $16,162.87, which only covers the increase in cost, because this is an existing position, from April 1 to December. The next year, for 2027, it would be an increased cost of $23,020.99. That's going from January to December, so you show both to the taxpayers.
The 23 is over the 2025 cost or the 2026 cost?
2026 cost.
And most of that is in benefits.
There's also probably a step involved there. too.
Yes, so,
Right, but if you look at, it's broken out by wages. Wages are 9,000.
Yeah.
But then when you bring them from part-time to full-time, the expenses go up $5,000 in health, dental,
In the retirement.
yep,
Right,
retirement, et cetera.
yes.
This brings that staff from 2 full-timers to part-timers to 3 full-timers and 1 part-timer.
Correct.
I mean, it would be nice to have consistency in the office, and I think that's why it's being directed to be back to full-time. We don't lose somebody, but,
Well, how many new homes have just passed? 193 up on 102, and all the cars that come with that.
yeah, there's plenty of business, there's
Um,
plenty of traffic in that office for the people. It's not,
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, that's just this year, that we've increased 193 homes where, BAE was. We've put in 63 over by the horse farm, so there's probably 2 cars in each of those. So we're adding quite a few registrations, pets, tax bill, well, not tax bill, some tax bills for the horse farm, but the other is not tax bills. I guess I can say that they're increasing their traffic. I'd like to see them increase their hours a little. But I'll take it.
they're open as long as town hall's open.
Yeah, I know. I think I can go for this one.
I think it's tough. I think, we've worked many times to work with the hours they wanted. A lot of people are getting laid off, and now we're asking for this. A lot of stuff can be done online, so I'm leaning a certain way on this.
So I'd correct the statement around online for a second. All they're doing is removing the person coming to the window. It does not change the workload.
Okay.
They still do
They
it.
have to physically process all those requests in the
but-
back end.
Okay.
Again, I'm seeing everybody at work in many places losing a person on their team, and the other people are doing it for no pay. So, just,
Other people working for no pay.
they are taking on the
Increase.
work, doing their same job plus something else. So, it's not always pretty out there.
Do more with less.
Yes. So I've had her in
Call
front of
the
us
vote.
3 or 4 times. We've juggled everything for what
Call
they
the
wanted,
vote.
and we've done it many times. And we've given her what she wanted.
Okay. All right, all those, sorry, did we have a motion?
No, it wasn't even a
I'll
motion.
make a motion that we recommend Article 24 as presented. Do I have a second?
I will second.
A motion made and seconded. Mr. Gannon, further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Bob, are you positive?
Yeah, I'm positive.
So 4-1-0. All right, Article 25, modify elderly exemption. Ms. Kleiner?
Shall the town modify the provisions of RSA 7239A for the elderly exemption from property tax in the town of Litchfield based on assessed value for qualified taxpayers to be as follows? For a person 65 years of age up to 75 years, $125,000. For a person 75 up to age 80, $190,000. For a person 80 years of age or older, $240,000. To qualify, the person must have been a New Hampshire resident for at least 3 consecutive years, own the real estate individually or jointly, or if the real estate is owned by such person's spouse, they must have been married to each other for at least 5 consecutive years. In addition, the taxpayer must have a net income of not more than $45,000, or if married, a combined net income of not more than $55,000, and own net assets not in excess of $300,000, excluding the value of the person's residence. majority vote required. There's no tax impact on these. That's how it works with the, New Hampshire, DRA. This, I cannot say how needed this
This is, I
is.
agree. I do, but you know there's a tax impact, right?
So,
It's spread across the other
Yeah,
side.
it's not
right,
really
so
tax
it's
impact, but,
it's reducing
So
the
this
amount
is
of the
the-
assessment
Okay.
and the entire budget, everything that you have to raise.
Only for the
is split.
neediest of the elderly.
Yeah.
All right.
So until they know, because you don't know how many more people it will be, they don't require you to
Our
put a tax
tax in-
impact.
our
You
tax
can't
increase.
calculate it.
Our tax increase is bringing people out of the woodwork that were never getting it before, that now have found out about it, and, yeah, okay.
And I think the way we picked the numbers were to address sort of the increases that people saw.
Yeah, I'm for this one.
Proportionately
Should
with the,
proportionally get people back to where they were after the reassessment.
Yeah, I'm for this one.
And it's for the ones that need it. that
The
really
most.
need it.
That's what I like,
Definitely.
is
If you're
the,
rich like Bobby back there, you don't need it, so you're all set.
You're a working man, tell him, that's, it's nothing but
Okay.
being rich.
It's gonna tell you, I'm gonna wait for you outside.
I'll make a motion that we.
please don't insult the veteran.
I'll make a
They're
motion that
cagey.
we recommend Article 25
He's still cagey.
to the voters,
Second. Oh,
like Ms. Plansky. So, motion made
Can't
by
write
myself,
up on
seconded by
fun.
Ms.
Oh,
Plansky.
shut down.
Further discussion? All those in favor of recommending, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 500. Article 26, modify optional service-connected total disability credit. Ms. Kleiner.
shall the town modify the provisions of RSA 7235 for an optional tax credit of $4,000 for a service-connected total disability on residential property. Majority vote required. Again, there's no, tax rate that is given.
How many-
But
how many
This is a
residents?
very limited amount of veterans.
Oh, 36.
These are-
30, 35?
Could I give input? There's a word that's wrong there, Ms. Kleiner.
Which one?
Bob, you wanna come forward?
Come forward, guys.
Come forward. At least you can identify yourself.
You gotta wake Dugan up.
Okay.
Nice. Told you they're
I
cagey.
can see him fading.
I don't blame him, I am too.
It's tired, it's getting late.
4:30 this morning.
I was up about a half hour later.
You want to tell us, I'm Bobby Jacques from 18 Lockville Drive. Billy?
Bill Dugan, 41 Nessentig.
So, just the law here, it says the optional tax credit for service-connected permanent, and total disability upon adoption by a city or town pursuant to RSA 7227A shall be amount from $701 up to $5,000. The optional tax credit, service-connected permanent and total disability shall replace the standard credit its entirety and shall not be added thereon. Therefore, what they were getting before was anybody that was totally service-connected could get that. The governor and the Senate said, they changed it. They said, we want people who are totally and permanently disabled to get the credit, because these guys are not gonna get better. They only die. And we're losing 200 veterans a day from Vietnam. So it's not a thing that's, everybody that's totally and permanently disabled say, oh, well, it's great, it's not, because nobody wants to be totally and permanently, because what happens when they go through all the processes and go through all the different things with the doctors and everything, sometimes it takes some guys 28 years to get it. And, the invisible scars of war, you can't replace that. So that's the difference. So it's not just, those guys who are totally disabled are no longer eligible for this. They have to be permanent, totally and permanently disabled. That's the difference between the whole thing. I just want you to
Still
clarify.
RSA 7235?
Yes, sir.
And they lose, if you raise this amount, they lose the 750.
I thought that you had said that had gotten discussed and it was put back in.
So.
Because what I was concerned about originally with this
What really,
was
what
that
the,
if the, I'm
I'm sorry,
Bobby?
the difference is that what they were getting right now was 701 plus the 750.
Right.
Now they don't get any, they have to get what you give them.
They're gonna get this
Right,
instead of.
they lose the 750.
They lose all that. Because we're taking.
Either way, whether we do this or not, you're
Yes,
gonna lose it?
yes, yeah.
So if this gets voted down, Bob, what happens?
Well,
The number is now, right?
we'll be at 701, I guess, yeah.
701, not 1,500, which is what they're getting today.
And I would tell you that we've surveyed as veterans in this town, and when we did our what do you call it, getting people to join our program, we must have talked to 300 veterans and non-veterans in the town about RSA 99. And everybody's in agreement that, they'll support this, because this is not for everybody. This is only for 30,
yeah,
this is
that-
36 people, 36
Yeah,
people in this town. And
36.
we have 102,000 veterans in the state of New Hampshire. We don't even have a VA hospital. We should know in a couple of weeks if the president's going to go ahead and vote us in, because us and Alaska are the only two places in America that don't have a hospital. So we have to outsource everything for these guys. And it's not,
I'm concerned that, I'm hoping it passes. I'm concerned that if it doesn't,
I don't think it's going to be.
You have less.
Yeah, I think we talked to everybody, and we think that, I think they've earned the respect of this town, these veterans. And,
they've definitely
and they know
participated
that,
in everything too.
they know that we care. We care about what this is all about. For the most part, when you come back from Vietnam, we didn't feel like we were part of this country, because people didn't care about us. So we go to a town like here, me and Billy been here over 30-something years. We taught school together and everything else. We know that we have to make a difference, because we continually want to make that difference, because we want to be accepted. It's in our DNA that we want to be accepted. And the only way I can say, as a representative for these guys, who can't all be here today, some are pretty sick, I think they've earned everybody's respect. And I would ask you for your support for that $4,000. And we'll see what happens.
Okay. It's a gamble.
So it's gonna be service-connected, total,
And permanent.
permanent, just so you're.
And permanent.
Yeah,
Permanent.
I made a note,
Permanent,
yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
All right, so on Article 26, do I have a motion to recommend?
Yes.
Mr. Leary, do I have a second?
Second.
Lansky? Further discussion? I will just say this, the least, my opinion is the least we can do at this point.
I appreciate that.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. Thank you, Bob.
Just one last thing. You see the Christmas tree in the pavilion? I don't know if you've seen the Christmas tree, it's all lit up and everything. So I was gonna ask Ms. Kleiner, and I talked to Mr. Larry the other day. What we'd like to do is put it out, if anybody has a veteran, knows a veteran, or would like to go ahead and put a bulb on the tree, we would think, they could put their dad, like, my father, my uncle, your brother, and they could come and put it on the tree to say, is just another way of saying thank you for your service,
I think next year you need to sell veteran bulbs.
I
Stop buying them.
was gonna talk to you about that.
Good fundraiser for
I could fund everything in the town. I just think it would be a great thing, so.
Take 7 from you.
Yeah, I know you will. So I hope that we see your, I don't know how you want to do it.
I'll put it out.
If we want to put it in a
an email to
bucket
everybody.
here, and I'll put them on, or people can go over there and do that, or whatever we want to do, but I think it's good, so. Okay,
Total cost on that is $140,000, which is very little.
thank you, appreciate it.
I just
you,
did the
gentlemen.
math.
Sorry for keeping you out so
Again, they
late.
don't
I
allow
worry.
you because you could have
lift?
more.
You need a
They don't
lift?
allow you to put a tax impact on it.
No, but I'm just saying,
I'll piggyback
to people
you.
that are watching, it's $140,000. It's not a huge amount. It does come off the actual tax rate as opposed to the elderly exemption, which is against the value of the house.
So the difficult with the veterans is it is included in our tax cap.
Okay.
It's included in our tax cap calculation.
Okay. So it's 140,000 towards the tax cap.
So you figure out the estimated increase of your budget from your expenditures from year over year. And then you have to, reduce that, by the veterans.
So it's $140,000 directly at the tax cap. Okay.
Which one did we?
We
look
skipped,
again?
well, we skipped,
Is it
18,
18? Yeah.
which we want to drop it down to the end. So it's the term of the supervisor, the checklist. I'm not even sure why the,
So
we have to
this
vote
was,
on it.
well, yeah, I mean, this is requested. So this was a change in the law. It's actually a good thing to see if the town will vote to change the term of office for the supervisors of the checklist per RSA 4146A from the current 6-year term to a 3-year term, effective for all members elected at the next annual meeting, and to authorize the select board to take all necessary actions to implement this change. This change will not affect the term of the current supervisor,
Any new ones?
any new ones. But 6 years is a long time.
Yes.
That's
Tough
a long
commitment.
time.
that,
You
Term.
gotta bracket after 6 year. After that
Oh,
year.
thank you.
And does the budget committee actually have to, they don't have to recommend this, so.
The budget committee does not have
But
to
we-
vote on
But
this,
we do because we got.
but you do.
Okay.
But it has no
Value change.
value.
All right. Well, I'll make
monetary
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 18, or whatever number it shows up to be eventually. Term of the supervisors of the checklist.
This one.
Might be easier to
This
get people to sign up, so,
Second
yeah.
that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Motion carries 500, so that's recommended. I think that's all of them, right? Did I miss
That
anything
is
else?
it.
no, I think that's,
Jason and Matt, thank you for dropping 23. We made a
Appreciate
big
you.
dent.
Big.
Ours was no impact to the taxpayer, arguably.
It was
Arguably.
arguably no impact to the taxpayer, correct.
we'll figure that out next year, Jay.
Where'd the money come from? I didn't see it.
It was for the
Land lease.
revenues from the,
The land sale?
The land lease.
Oh, the
Leases, because now we have to maintain those, and it's been going into the general fund.
so we'll discuss it next year, I'm sure.
But we have a conversation about it at some point this year.
As we get to before budget season, yeah.
Okay.
All right, that's it for that. Let me see where I'm at here in my other pile of mess. Up will be abatements, supplements, and tax warrants. And I'll also inject the land use taxes too at the same time, if you guys don't mind.
Where are we? I'm
So,
sorry.
Item 6 on the.
yep,
agenda.
item
Thank
6, abatements. So we have an abatement, we have an abatement to the tax collector for
$2?
map tax levy 205, map 1, lot 2. And I believe this is related to, what is this related to?
Map 1, lot 2, sub 1 through 7 is for $2. And then it's offset, that's the abatement, offset by a supplemental tax bill for map 1, lot 2. All it is a change in owner.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Oh, the deed wasn't recorded correctly?
Correct.
Gotcha.
So, that's all it is. Using it for one person. And the second one that you see there, just so people understand, map 6, lot 53, that was the same type of issue, but the owners worked it out and it's been paid, so we don't need to abate it. Or reissue.
And that's the supplemental one?
That's a map 6, lot 53, right beneath it
Okay.
on the portal.
Yep.
That one doesn't need to be done.
So I'll take a motion to approve the abatement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Leary, seconded by Ms. Plansky. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. And then we have the tax collector's property tax supplemental warrant, which is related to, map one, lot two, parcels one, oh, it's the same thing, right? It's
Yep.
just this is a continuation of the same
Yep.
request? So I'll make a motion, we approve the supplemental warrant as discussed. $2.
It's so worth our
Second
time.
by Mr. Leary. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 500. Pass this down.
I gotta sign the second one.
Oh, sorry.
I don't need your pen, I just need the paper.
Don't take that. All right, the other ones we just had, we added also earlier were, a bunch of change use taxes. So if there's no objection, we do it as one big thing, I guess. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the land use tax warrants for Corning Farm LLC, map 22, lot 14, for $44,440. For Signature Homes LLC for map 18, lot 62-4, for $21,500. For Signature Home LLC for map 18, lot 62-8, for $21,500. For Signature Homes LLC, map 18, 62-23, $21,500. For Signature Homes LLC, map 18, lot 62-10, for $21,500. Signature Homes LLC, map 18, lot 62-11, for $21,500. Signature Homes LLC, map 18, lot 62-12, $21,500. And then Signature Homes LLC, map 18, lot 62-14, for $21,500. So a total of 8 to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion?
And this is just a tax to go from changing it from
Yeah.
farmland to
Whatever it is. yeah.
building.
So this
The,
is money going
so,
to
Impact
conservation?
fees.
All of the 21,500
I
are,
want it all.
Talarico
Okay.
and then Corning Farm, yeah. So once there is a foundation
Then it's,
that is put in and that foundation is approved, we will issue a invoice for tax.
gotcha.
So how much is that total? Just to be difficult.
I was trying to add it up.
21,500.
I lost track.
500 times 7 plus 44440.
I'm sorry, is it 9:30?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I think my brain turned off.
It's okay.
That is $194,900.
Thank you.
194,900.
194.
This is money
I got
paid by
940.
builders,
940? Yeah, that's
Well,
probably.
paid by buyers, but-
194,940.
But paid-
Because
Yeah,
it's,
the builders aren't paid.
they're paid and used by the town to increase services so that it can make up for the fact that we're adding to our population. That's why there is a change use, which is a really big question with our voters when they talk about the change use tax, the impact fees, all that kind of stuff. That's something that we're not getting across to the voters. That I just, anytime we get the chance to say what that change use tax is, I think we should say it out loud and not just,
It is, you can sit on a board for 4 years and not know until it comes up.
Not know what a land use change tax is?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, because it come up often.
So.
where it goes and why we get it. And why it doesn't
So I
cost the
think we had
taxpayers
talked about
money.
it during economic development.
We don't talk
and
about
the
it enough
number
though,
of,
I guess.
Properties that you have that are,
We know, but we want
Semi,
to talk about it
semi.
more, because a lot of times, like when we're voting for something to be paid for by impact fees, people are like, well, we'll put that towards the tax rate, and you can't, because what it is it's something that was paid to us to keep up with the town, because we're adding more population to it. So, we just don't say it enough,
right, but, and
because our
that's
average
exactly.
voter doesn't understand it. And hopefully they're watching and listening.
And
Sounds like
I
a
mean,
great
there's,
topic for
there's,
table
it's all
And it would be a
prescribed-
great conversation for table
It's all
talk.
prescribed by state law, but that's exactly why you can't use a impact fee for something that wasn't maintained by the existing voters.
I just want people to understand what they are.
Okay.
I want to talk about it a lot. I want to talk about it all the time. I want to do table talk about it.
All right, so those are all taken care of. Now we have two other items that we added in, which was the January to June 2026 schedule of transfers for the school district. The backups in the consent folder. So I need a motion to accept.
So what is that
It's the schedule of our payments.
that we pay to the
Collect
school?
taxes and we pay them to the school.
Where, where it's money that we're holding in a general fund that we give them?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just 7 through 12, right? You didn't add any more. Okay.
7 through 12, yep.
I knew you were modifying it, I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right one.
$2,500 a payment, 2,250. $2,500,000
Yes.
a payment for them to run the schools. Okay.
So what we
Signed
do
it.
is
We all
we
signed it.
make sure that it fits our cash flow. We manage our cash flow, with the treasurer, and we check to also make sure that that amount, the total amount, doesn't exceed the amount on the tax warrant that we've raised on their behalf.
Okay, so a motion to accept.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Plansky, seconded by Ms. Queenan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. And then the last item that we inserted before the other two topics is the 2025 municipal assessment and sales information from our assessors. This is the report they will send to DRA.
Yes.
It didn't look like
So-
it was requiring a signature by us.
Yes, it has a
This is-
colored
The
sheet
pink one?
attached to it.
There should be a P.
That has to be signed, so, this is a annual sales verification. So the assessors go through the sales, they have to, qualify them, make sure they're an arm's length transaction. So ones that are not, that might be sold from a mother to a son or within a family, those are disqualified. And then what they're looking for is the equalization ratio. So your equalization ratio after a reval should be pretty close to 100, right? Because you've raised everyone to fair market value. The assessors came up with 99.1. It's pretty close. Pretty close. So.
You not signing this one? Bob's not signing it.
I make a motion that we, I make a motion that we go ahead and we approve the 2025 municipal assessment and service
Yeah.
sales information
That was yucky.
and then authorize it to be shared with DRA.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gannon. Any other discussion? No? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I didn't say aye, I'm sorry. I was signing. Aye.
You were aye, right?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
an aye. sorry.
Motion carries 4-1-0.
There's 22 signatures here, I'm gonna wait.
All right,
You already voted on the
just for
budget.
the public, I'm not sure you're here for, we do have a second input at the end, but we do have two more topics. So
Do we want to talk about this National Association of Student Councils that's also in there?
it's not, it's just, it was just informational, wasn't it? Yeah, it's just informational.
Okay.
So I can give you guys opportunity now to talk, or you wait till the end, it's up to you. Okay. All right, cool, well, we like company, so thank you for staying. All right, next up is the sixth intern report of the Commissioner for the Environmental and Public Health Impacts. I believe that is a topic that Ms. Keenan's gonna talk about, right?
Oh, that was the report that was filed, right, from New Hampshire? So that's for PFAS. They're required once a year in November to file a report on their findings. They work with DES. They've been working with Dartmouth also on some medical reports. So we have spoken about soils, water, the cleanup site over at Merrimack, and it just gives you an update of where they are. We are gonna be meeting this Friday again to start this process again of looking at the water runoff, and then they're gonna introduce soils as well. So you can read that, it's kind of scientific, and it is the reader's side. These meetings run about 4 or 5 hours, and the minutes alone are about 30 pages each from each meeting. They're pretty big.
Okay.
And we did
Bless
place
you.
it on the website.
It is on the website, so everybody can read it. Where did you put it on the website?
It's under community, under water and PFAS.
Anything else on this topic?
No, it was funny, I saw Lee Zeldin on a channel the other day talking about a PFAS site, but it wasn't in New Hampshire, but he went and visited it, so I'm thinking maybe we should reach out to him and see if he'll visit this one. That would be nice. So I'll bring it up at the meeting on Friday.
Okay. Moving on then, I guess. So this is gonna be, the topic is information technology. I'm going to recuse myself from the conversation. I'll sit back quietly, let you folks take
Okay.
it over.
So, as we discussed last week, I believe we came to a consensus and agreement, so I just want to throw this out there. So what I want to do is ratify the IT director contract as we talked about. The agreement will change from, like 1.0, this agreement shall be in effect for 26 weeks, commencing on January 1st at 2026, ending July 22nd, or July 2nd, 2026. So that'll give us 6 months. Compensation will go from what it is now to the minimum required by the state, which would be $684 per week, or $17,784. And then the renewal and termination, 4.0, section 4.3, the agreement will change, so it'll say that it shall terminate on July 2nd, 2026. And then where we have the stipulations where we want the IT director to get an MSP involved as a backup, I think that should be part of the job description, not really on the contract. So then, regardless of who's in that position, that would be a requirement set forth going forward, so we'll always have an MSP as part of the job description. I believe this would allow us to retain the services that we have now, eliminate the fear of any issues come January, and hopefully take some more work off Kim's immediate plate and allow us to move it past at least deliberation and town voting. And then we could work together with the IT director to get an MFP out there for an MSP, an RFQ for an MSP, so many acronyms, and an RFQ for an MSP, and make sure that we got the right one in place moving forward. Yeah, that's what my thought is, and
And if in 6 months, Kim's not comfortable, we're not comfortable, a 3-month?
yeah, there'd be an extension. I think that's what we agreed upon. So in
Great.
6 months, we could do an extension, we could renew it. So, but what it would do is at least give us 6 months with the person in place. He has provided us a list of things that he needs to get done next year, which he would not be able to do in the next 23 days. And honestly, what it would do is buy us time and allow us to do what we have to do and modify the job description to make sure there's an MSP to back us up. And then in 6 months, if we're not where we need to be, we could extend it or figure out, I just think in 6 months we'll be in better shape than we are forcing it right now.
And
Thoughts?
is our provider with this contract satisfied with that? Have you discussed that with our provider? If he will do a 6-month contract, because I don't think we knew last week whether or not that provider would
Yes,
do that.
yeah. He'd accept a 6-month contract with these terms.
He's a gracious and outstanding human being.
And then, as I said, he'll work with us to make sure that we get a qualified MSP to support the town. And the big thing that we all talked about is, what happens if John gets hit by a bus, you know? If there's an issue, we don't have something to fall back on. So that's why I'm thinking if we put it as part of the job description, it'll always be there, regardless of
to
who's
be.
in the position, what the contract says, we'll always have to have some kind of backup in the, you know, whether it be an MSP, we could change the job description, MSP or a part-time employee or.
There always has to be a
Some
backup.
form of, a backup.
Yep.
Some form of coverage.
And a backup to the MSP, which means we need to have a person that's here managing them. So-
Yeah, it'll be, that'll just keep going, that'll be repetitive, because it would be part of the job description.
Okay.
And is that something you're comfortable
Yeah,
with?
I just want to say my thoughts.
Yep,
We can't have a stalemate. This town can't work properly.
right.
We must fix it. I know that. I know December is coming up. I haven't rehearsed this. I'm just gonna say what I'm feeling at this point. I think there is definitely 6 months of work for
Oh,
John.
God, yeah.
I don't think 3 months is enough. However, the term here to get past this is compromise, and we're not gonna do it. So I've looked up many ways to compromise. I've been doing this week, okay? Diffusing the situation, whatever. If you really don't, I really think it's gonna be 6 months. I agree to that, but I would still compromise, would like the contract to be 3 with check-ins, 3.
3-month contract.
Yeah, if you really think it's gonna go beyond 6,
I
and
think,
he's gracious enough, because I think it is gonna be 6, I think it's a potential compromise. Again, the conflict of interest is a concern, right?
yeah.
And-
So
Well, that's why
but we do need a handoff, and I
everything.
Are you
agree.
saying a 6-month and then an extension?
I'm saying make it 3 months, another 3, just check in every 3 months, and knowing the first 3 months, we're gonna have to renew it. I
Yeah.
believe we do.
But I think you need to give him a 6-month
I
contract.
think that the problem with
it's
3 months is we're
unfair.
gonna be
I
right
think
at.
a year would be
right
perfect.
at,
I'm just saying, he's gonna get that anyway.
Well, I want him to have it in writing. I want to protect the
Yeah.
person who's
My
gracious
concern
enough
with-
to do
with,
this.
3 months is, we're gonna be right, right during budgets, I'm not budgets, right during voting, right? I just don't think we can get anything done in 3 months. And
I
what I
don't
don't
have a
wanna
problem with the
do is
report.
rush to get an MSP that answers us, and then we don't have our time to do our due diligence and research and make sure that we have a qualified backup. And then we need the transition time of our current IT director to make sure that the new, or the MSP, you know, comes up to speed. That's why I'm saying, that's why I would say it at least takes 6 months, minimum. And then we could do I'm okay with the, extending the contract another 30 or another 90 or whatever, you know, the board at the time feels like we need to do. But I just don't think we can get anything done in 90 days.
But we can agree that in 30 days, we look at the progress of where we are, whether the contract's 6 months or whatever. That in 30 days, there probably isn't going to be anything, but you're still giving us a report back.
See, what I'm also trying to do is take the burden off this lady. We've
Right.
put too
So
much
she
on her
comes
plate
here and
already.
says nothing's been
And if we
done.
could push it off a little bit, yes, we're gonna kick it down the road, but I think it's in the best interest of the town and of her sanity.
So
So let her speak.
I gave a very detailed plan with dates and who's involved and what has to be done. And
Where is
that, it's very detailed, so I'll hold us to that, but it's 6 months. And if we rush any portion of this, we will not be doing the town justice with choosing an MSP. I think you've gotta have your department heads, you've gotta have Terry and Karen and Dan and Doug, cause we all have different IT needs. You have us all work with the current IT provider to interview, get those recommendations down, then they gotta come to the board, the board's gotta decide, do you wanna interview them? This is like a standard of what it is in any town to do an
Everything has to
RFQ
go
process.
perfectly in
And-
order to do it in
and
6
we
months.
know one thing throws us off, right? And so it doesn't meet this meeting and we have to push it to next meeting. That's all added time. This is if everything goes perfect, it's 6 months.
Yeah, July 2026,
It-
creation of MSP.
And you can hold me to those dates if you want.
Did you send that
But
to everybody? Or?
It's on the portal,
Oh, okay.
but it's 6 months, beginning to end.
And then I think also in the job description, we could modify it where the MSP has to come back and give us quarterly updates or whatever findings, so we could justify that they are doing their job
That's
as well.
minimum. I would like a monthly
Monthly,
with the invoice.
well, that probably comes
No.
with cost.
John's shaking his head, although he's not participating. Can you?
Well, again, nobody's compromising on your side. I'm just, again, we are.
You asked for that.
Again, we don't have an MSP today either. We're just starting to introduce that. That was what I talked about the last time for strategy change, which I think we should do. So I'm not prepared with anything other than I'm just gonna go with what I'm thinking. So I haven't heard from everybody. I'd like to hear what they have to say, if they want to speak.
Have compromised. We wanted a year. We asked for a year to try and
I
make
just-
it absolutely palatable.
This is
So
a man-made
that is
crisis
a-
that didn't have to happen.
We're gonna
You're
put-
right, and it should have been taken care of years ago, and it wasn't. So now I'm in
We're
crisis.
gonna put too much work on Kim's plate at this point in time, and she already has an
But what's the difference
place
between the 3 and the 6 months?
What's the
Because it
difference
may
between
drag
6
out.
months and a year?
It
We
may
asked for
drag
a
out.
year, so
Then
you say we're
compromise.
not compromising, we are. I was dead set
I
at a
just feel
year.
this thing's gonna
Steve
drag
Gannon,
out, and then
Steve
eventually
Gannon
back
was-
in where we are today.
but
with no change.
you're saying we're not compromising, and I'm saying that we did, because we went from the 1 year where we stuck on Wednesday night. We stuck at,
Well, we started with he rolls off. That's where it
well, that
started.
was absolutely undoable, and
Again, it was the timing. It wasn't us, it was the
Ridiculous.
timing.
I understand your point,
So
Kim.
again, I'm trying to
but we
make
are
compromises.
compromising, so
I
we
just-
are.
I don't
I know
think
you
we
don't
could
think so.
have anything
You would like
in
him gone
place.
last week. I can't do that.
I don't think we could have anything in place within 6 months, and Kim has shown on her, what did you call it, timeline. And like I said, I don't wanna pick a bad MSP. I wanna make sure that we get the right one, we get the good one. I don't want her scrambling to do more work.
I agree with all
And then
that.
after March, that's when we could focus more time and attention, because we're not gonna have to worry about the elections. The budget season will be done, everything will be done, that'll be behind us, and we could focus on it. We could rewrite the job description.
I know,
We could-
I know all that. I see it, I
That's-
see it all. I get it.
That's why I'm
Well,
really
then
pushing.
That's
you
why
will
I
know
brought
that
up
it's been
MSP.
all compromised. We went from a 2-2 vote that was completely
if-
drastically
We left last
different.
week.
I would
We
still
didn't
be
even have
giving a
vote last
5-year.
week.
No, we
Or
didn't.
whenever we voted,
We
whenever we
didn't,
met
because we
last.
would have been at stalemate
So
last week.
Let's not argue.
let's
Bob,
not
what are
argue.
your
I'm trying
thoughts,
to,
Bob?
we need something. I agree, we need something.
So I make a motion that we do a 6-month contract. Do I have a second?
So Diane's making a motion that we modify the IT director's contract for 6 months, 26 weeks, commencing on January 1st, 2026, and ending on July 2nd, 2026. Section 2, compensation salary effective January 1st, 2026. Employee shall receive a weekly salary of $684 per week, which is $17,784 for the 6-month term. Renewal and termination, section 4.0, 4.3, this agreement shall terminate on July 2nd, 2026. And then we will add to the job description the requirements to work with the BOS to find and sign a contractor for an MSP for backups. I will
That's my
second-
motion.
All right, I'll second that.
Discussion?
Mr.
I'm still not sure where I fall on this. It is gonna take 6 months. I mean, I have to admit that, even though I'm not crazy about it, I have to admit it, but I don't see what's wrong with a 3 and a 3 either. And I'll also say that I think the discussion is good. It's okay that we don't agree with each other.
All right, great.
It's very okay.
We
that
don't want a
agree.
bunch of like-minded people, we get nothing done.
The compromise, I know we were stuck. We were very stuck on the one year thing
Everybody has
last
different
week.
ideas. Everyone's
We
got
were,
different
but this
viewpoints.
is a compromise
It is.
for 2 of the voters.
And I would be inclined to lean that way if we could get 30-day check-ins.
I like the 30-day check-ins.
So 6 month with 30-day check-ins?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
That's what he's saying.
And I would also like to see something substantial at the end of 6 months. That we haven't just floated around for 6 months and here we are sitting again,
Mm-hmm.
going through the same discussion, because it's getting no place fast.
I agree.
Yeah, and that'll take both the IT director, us, and Kim, the Board of Selectmen and Kim as well to get something in place. But we have to get an MSP in place.
I appreciate.
That's
you
something that we're
negotiating as well
lacking.
and compromising as well. I appreciate that.
So if we can, at the end of 6 months, we have monthly check-ins, and we can see that, okay, this is our plan moving forward. Not the same plan we've been going through, but if we've got something in place where we've got some prospective people lined up and the backup in place, then I guess I'm okay with it.
And some of your months might be nothing's happened,
Are you
Could
saying
you know, but at least he knows
6 months?
that we're not gonna let this be 5 more years.
1 second, please. So you're saying 6 months, then 30-day check-ins, or do you want 30-day check-ins
From the
immediately?
get-go.
Right, okay, so 6-month contract, 30-day, every 30 days a check-in
To
from.
check in, yeah, so
Yep.
we can.
Just a
find the
report.
progress, right?
Just a report.
Where are we at, you know, how many candidates do we have? What do we have for a backup plan?
Yeah,
We're still,
progress
we're still
report.
sending out we're still gonna interview, right?
Yeah, we're still
still
gonna
gonna send out the
interview, we're
job
gonna go
rec,
through the
right?
whole process, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a question, is the board, okay with this process as it's outlined, or do you wanna mark it up? I just need to know what process
see the
you
timeline?
want, and if,
No, I didn't see
She
it.
has a,
but I can email it out if
Could
that's
you?
easier. Yeah.
I
Should be
looked.
in the portal right there.
I looked.
I would honestly like to see
Oh,
some,
okay, okay,
just
okay.
pushed, because it's just too, let's push it to January, because there's too much going on right now.
Sure,
You're too busy.
start January,
Yes, let's push it to January.
To start interviewing or to release the RFP,
to release the
the job
RFQ.
description,
Yeah,
which is the preliminary.
You're talking about the RFQ of the MSP, I know that.
No, the
Or
RFP
for the job application,
the job application.
Yeah,
job application.
yeah, so we'd.
January,
we'd
because
work
she's going on
the-
vacation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I just wanna make sure what was the January 1st date
You don't think
was.
you can get it out before you go without killing yourself?
She's gonna give you some
when I
signals.
get back from vacation, I
Remember the-
can get it out, yeah.
All right.
But it's gonna be Christmas, so I just,
January, yeah,
I'd like to just evaluate that.
things
real-
get lost at
Yeah,
Christmas.
at our next meeting, I just wanna make sure we've got everything on that as well, that we really want on that RFP, the job description.
Right, so I think
It's
if
gotta be
by the
January.
29th, I
January.
can send
January.
this
The 29th.
timeline out to everyone to
The
look
30th.
at.
The first.
And if the 29th, the board is okay with
Hey,
this
we're talking. I'm liking that.
process,
yeah. Are you two listening?
No,
Okay, please listen to
sorry.
Kim, so, one conversation at the table.
if
Sorry.
we get together on the 29th, like, I've got the RFQ pretty much done, it needs a little bit of polish. But
This is just for a person to step in and do exactly what he's doing right now, right?
It'll be for a
this
company.
is for a managed service provider.
Okay.
If the board can agree or give me any changes that they want to this process on the 29th, then we'll get it out on the 30th.
Okay.
With whatever process, because I have to have the process to put in the RFQ. So,
So we need a new contract for John then, as well.
That's
That's in
what-
here.
And-
6 months,
It's
right?
in there for 6 months.
6 months, okay.
yes.
Is it the same as the other one? We just made it 6 months?
Yeah, yeah, I took literally, it's the same contract, the difference is, like I said, in section 1, this agreement shall be in effect, and I changed it from multiple years to 26 weeks with specific dates.
I'm sorry, I thought it was
Compensation, I
the-
took the compensation that, we recommend that we have to start with, and that's the 684 per week. And then in section 4.3, it says it will terminate on July 2nd. So the contract would read the same, if anything, it'll be smaller, the things that'll be different, it'll be weeks instead of years, and the higher pay rate.
I thought you posted the original, so I didn't read it, because we've been reading that along, okay. Everything else is the same, other than the term?
Yeah, everything else is the same, it's just the the time frame and the dollar amount.
Okay,
All right, so,
we need a vote.
we'll modify the original motion to have 30-day report progresses done, as necessary. If there's as necessary, we'll just leave it like that. All right. So Diane made a motion, I second it. Any more discussion?
You have to motion to, for the
Motion to amend?
The amended, yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to amend the IT contract to add 30-day reports.
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 400, or 401. Thank you for this, folks.
Thank you very
It's
much.
huge.
Yep.
And I promise I will work with our IT director, and we will make sure that we get things done to everybody's liking. John, would you like to comment?
No. Because no one's gonna like what I say.
Okay, then, yeah, you be quiet then.
All right, moving on the agenda, this is the second opportunity for public input. If anybody from the public would like to step forward and comment on any topics that happened prior to this or anything in the future, please step forward.
Steve Perry, 5 Lidston Lane. I'll be quick because we're getting pretty late. The only thing I want to point out is this discussion that just happened is the reason I've been here all night. I wanted to make sure something was going to get done, and I want to point out very important fact. John has done this job for over 15 years. He should have backup. That is the right thing to do. But let's also think of the money he saved this town in doing that job. If you say he saved this town $50,000 a year, that's 750 grand.
It's more.
Just remember that.
It's more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll close public input at 9:51. All right, next up, town administrator report. Let's take us home.
Okay,
Speaking
the
very
letter
quickly.
that was, referenced in that is in the consent, I put it in there so that you would see it. I met with the student council from Campbell High School, and their advisor. They came and asked about, what the town was in need of because they wanted to apply for a service grant. So we had a very lovely discussion, and I think they concluded with the fact that they wanted to do something for, our elderly residents, since we don't have a senior center. So they're gonna do like a senior night, and that's not high school seniors, that's seniors.
Senior citizens.
They asked, I volunteered actually to write a letter of support for their grant, and that's the letter if you'd like to read it.
That's a lovely letter, and that's a lovely thing, just
Thank you.
as a comment.
Thank you. Below is the, November, in your portals, the November trustee of trust funds report for your review, which, Deb and Karen and I all look at. I want to say congratulations to Donna Burrell, her son, her daughter-in-law, and her entire family, because at 12:30 this morning, she had a grandson.
Yay!
Yes, so, Crew Joseph.
Life is good.
Staff is very busy. We have annual reviews, updates on the strategic plan, and we're reviewing the state legislature bills for our meeting on the 29th with our state reps, so that if there are any state bills that are proposed that they are really concerned on, we can get those to you for that discussion. Just a reminder on the holiday hours, we are closed Christmas Day and the day after Christmas, so Thursday and Friday. Of course, you're all invited. We're having a little cookie swap on Wednesday at 1, so
Love a good
if you
cookie.
want to stop by and get a box. Wednesday, December 10th, which is this Wednesday at 6 o'clock, we're holding our annual IDDE stormwater training, and we did put it out to all the boards. Everyone's welcome to come. It's riveting. But for those of us that have to work on the MS4, it's required. So, highway, all the highway department and myself will be here.
What night is that?
This Wednesday.
Oh, too bad, I have to make socks.
Yeah.
Doing laundry.
Big pies. Yeah.
Sorry. Otherwise, I'd be there.
Yeah, it's, so our consultant, does an excellent job. And they try to make it different every year because we have a training every year.
Is George Lavash gonna go to that?
I believe he is.
Yeah, I think he is.
responded
So
to
somebody
that.
from
And
conservation
Judy,
will be there.
I think, and Judy Brennan. Probably about an hour. Yeah.
Yeah, George Lavash, I believe, said he was going.
No, just come on in, right here.
Those conservation people, they work hard.
Yeah.
They do work hard, don't they?
And then,
But,
as you all know,
They're not told
I'm on
enough.
vacation next week
I agree.
Good for you.
Good for you.
in North Carolina.
Turn off all your stuff.
Sure that's
Yeah.
not me, Kim?
No, that's me, Kim.
Not me on vacation?
KK, not KQ.
Where in
I have
Carolina?
2 grandsons I
Where
am
in
dying
Carolina?
to see.
Where? In Carolina?
Oh, Rural Hall, North Carolina. Yeah. I haven't seen my grandsons for over 6 months.
Oh, good for you.
Enjoy.
Thank you. And that's it. We're home.
Best part of it.
Next up, thank you, Kim. Next up is the Selectmen reports. Mr. Leary.
Rec meet tomorrow night. And I will ask about the fund balance and the plan for going forward, as requested by the board. There's still a lot of discussions on school using Roy Memorial for everything but softball, which is a dedicated softball facility. That's the big thing going on now, then just trying to find indoor space time for all the leagues. It's a real struggle.
It's a heated topic.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Ms. Plansky?
I brought the concerns, that the Conservation Commission had about their warrant article. We discussed it at their meeting. We also discussed the number of warrant articles at their meeting as well. As usual, they're a very busy committee. They were moving the swans all over the place, even though we're almost at ice out. It was another wonderful meeting of people that are doing a good job out there. The Heritage Committee is going to cancel their meeting, I believe, this week. No, next week.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, because of Christmas, they're gonna do that. And then they're also canceling the 250th meeting, which is going really well. We have go-getters in places to bring everything up to fruition, and a timeline was given to us by an attendee to try and get each group, because we've been split out into entertainment and fundraising and all of that. So that was a nice little report that was given to us to help us organize that. And I think that's really all I was able to do this month.
Okay. Ms. Queen?
Yeah. SIP, we saw the presentation tonight. We will have a meeting in January. And I look forward to seeing you
Wow.
then. It cannot hurt, right? All right, so that's, we'll get that.
Questions are good.
Questions are good. Economic Development Committee, thank you to Mr. Jason Brennan over there for coming in to be our 4th member to vote. We had a quorum. We appreciate that. So the report has been approved. That has been uploaded also, right? Did the Economic Development report get uploaded?
I haven't seen it.
No.
Okay, so we'll work with you and
So
get
you
that
want it
uploaded.
on the 29th?
Yeah, I want it on,
meeting?
so, yeah, I'll get it on the portal next time also, so we can
Okay.
go over
Well, the
that
board, this
report.
board has to approve it, right?
You have to
Just
accept
accept it,
it,
yeah.
yeah.
You have to, yeah, I'd like to
yeah.
read it
So,
before
yeah,
we
put it
see
on
it,
the 29th.
before it's
Okay.
presented.
Great, thank you. That with
Want to
the
read it
metal
before you see
detecting.
it?
I want to read it before we talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we'll have it posted up there.
Yeah.
Fresh.
Let's see.
Is that right, didn't you?
Oh, okay.
Because I'm sitting in
NRPC,
Kevin's seat.
we canceled
I can't even
the
lift those.
December meeting.
NRPC?
Yeah, NRPC, the meeting has been canceled unless we have an emergency, we have to go in and vote. So there will be no NRPC meeting. The NRPC 501 meeting, which is the nonprofit part of NRPC for wheelchair rides and mobility, we also canceled that meeting in December as well. Am I on
Is
another
that something
committee?
you're on the board? Yeah. Did we,
I
did
feel
we
like I
make
only
you
have-
do that? Did we make you do that, or is that
NRPC.
something you?
No, it's NRPC, and because I'm the chair, I had to sit on the nonprofit piece as we got it up and running.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna be honest, I think year two probably should be a different group that can focus on getting money, right? We set it up to get ready, but it takes another skill to go out and
Get
bring
money.
money in.
But I think the question you asked, she's appointed to NRPC by this board.
Right.
Yeah, planning board and you, yeah. And then, because I was on it, I had to be as an officer on that committee. It was
Okay.
required by law, yeah.
Anything else, Kim?
I don't know, I think I'm on another committee, but we're all wrapping up.
I think you covered all the ones we have.
Do I have anything else?
You'd come into the, you would come into the 250th. You would come into the 250th.
Yeah.
Planning board was canceled
That would
due to
be
the
that.
weather. Next one is the 16th, and that's when we're gonna go over, the 7 articles that they have, and we should be able to, finish those. One of them is like the ADU size and increasing it to 1,000 square feet. So, December 16th at that meeting is when we will review all those articles. I also want to say that this Saturday is the Spirit in Litchfield Christmas tree lighting. December 13th, 4 to 7 p.m. Roy Memorial Park.
Isn't there also a parade on Friday too?
Friday, 12.
The driving parade, or I think you call it, yeah.
Friday at noon?
No, 6?
5, 6.
Yeah, it's usually about 6.
With fireworks.
On Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
You're welcome.
Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday.
If you were late like me getting to the meeting tonight, you would've saw the Christmas tractor going down Albuquerque.
I saw Blanchard.
Nope, that's it.
All right, I guess I'll take us home. Facility Improvement Committee was gonna meet tomorrow, it got canceled, so there's no activity there. Budget Committee's meeting, we're fully focused on school. Next meeting's this Thursday, school voting is still going on, with the town taking up the following week. And then, emergency management, there's been no needs for emergency management, thank you, so, no activity there. That's it for me, any other
So
business?
this Thursday, no town budget meeting?
I'm looking at quick.
No, town, the warrants need to be there,
Okay.
but they're focused on school. Town voting is the following, the 18th, I thought.
10 to 15 seconds.
Bob's got one more thing.
Be there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Bob.
Just a quick thank you to Matt and Christy McQuestion. They donated the Christmas tree that's out in the Veterans Park out there. Yeah, they were looking for a tree and she contacted them and said that they had a 9-footer that they could have, so. Thanks to Matt and Christy. They didn't want accolades, but too bad,
They
Christy.
deserve them. Thank you to the McQuestions for so very much. I
They do
was,
so much.
yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Made by Mr. Larry.
Second.
Did
you beat me? Oh, did you beat me?
She had her hand going.
Okay, I was looking
I always like to be the one asking to
All in
leave.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 500.
It's the same as
Our
mine.
next meeting
Oh,
is
look
going
at
to
that.
be the 29th,
I love these.
Cheers. I like
6:30.
them too.
And like I said, this weekend we have a lot of activities, so don't miss out.